What's up, folks?
Three Musketeers.
We're finally in here. I tell you what, let me get up here. Let me make this a little bigger here. We can actually read it. I thought that'd be bigger than that back here.
Yeah, we're going to have to do a little bit of improvising. We had to put the table up that way.
Gabe, can you see that?
Everybody back. I can see me, yeah.
No, I mean the comments.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Okay.
Yeah, those are nice.
All right. Yeah, I can actually read from back here now.
Right, man.
Why do I look like the short guy?
Well,
I'm on the bar still.
I'm the biggest guy in the room.
That's all it is. Just stick the chest out.
yeah, my seat's a little taller. Gabe makes me look small if I'm next to him on the same size seat.
So, all right, man. What's up, folks? We are live, Monday Night Live, and man, this is cool. This is the first time we've had anybody in the studio. And for you guys out there in YouTube land that don't know, this is Mike Russell from Bag 5 Baits. He drove all the way from Kentucky Lake to my house, and I jumped in the vehicle with him. We drove up.
Yeah, been there?
Right by Moore's and Big Bear.
Big Bear. Gotcha.
Okay.
So let's see what there's a bunch of comments coming in. Let's kind of scroll through here real quick. Gary wants to know how the fishing's been down there. Gabe, that's more your territory right now because I haven't been.
Well, maybe he's talking about Kentucky Lake. What's it been like? What's it been like on Kentucky Lake?
Montgomery County the advertised was 19.5 pounds to win, and yet they had a little scale issue. It was actually 22, almost 23 pounds to win.
Smallmouth, right? Most of them?
4 smallmouth and the largemouth.
Yeah, that's incredible. That's kind of something that you've been seeing a lot lately down there is the smallmouth have been kicking it up a notch.
I can't tell the color, but I've actually painted two different guys that caught 9-pounders in the last month and a half.
Holy cow. Dang.
That's
I got pictures of them, so
that's impressive.
Well, Jay's already hitting it up there. He said his was already groomed, but he was planning on you getting yours painted blue pattern on your beard.
On my beard? Well, yeah, we talked about that. Jay, sorry to disappoint you. Me and Mike were talking about that on the way up, and we kind of decided that the body paint thing might just be out of the question. You know, we didn't want YouTube to ban our channels, and there might be a little bit too much of a shock. Yeah. So we're gonna keep it safe, keep our clothes on. But Jay sent me a text earlier. He's like, "Are you gonna be doing any kind of body painting?"
Body painting? I don't know if that's a good idea. I don't think you want to see any of this without clothes on.
Yeah, right. Don't wanna.
I'm securing my manhood.
I'm just saying, they ain't gonna want to see it.
I tell you what, we'll have you back sometime. We'll go that route just to see.
Hey, we're gonna have me and Jay both.
Yeah, there you go.
There you go.
We'll get Jay up here.
How's the audio out there? Because we're back a little bit from this mic. Leave a couple comments and let us know if the audio sounds good. If you can hear us off, we need to make any adjustments.
Yeah.
Looks like we're all on camera.
Yep.
It's fine.
Looks like Aaron's in the house. Stephanie said, "Hey everyone, wants to know how the fishing's done at Cedar Lake."
Cedar Lake. Well, I was over there yesterday, and I fished a tournament, and we got it handed to us. I missed the bite. But I've been catching some fish on a jerkbait and a shaky head. But the jerkbait fish, the fishing was a little bit off on the jerkbait for us. So I don't know if we were in a bad rotation or what was going on, but we caught some fish. We just didn't catch the right ones. Caught a lot of fish on shaky head. Water's 39 to, we saw 41 in the early afternoon. So pretty chilly. I was over there last week and there was still ice, like in the back of Pomona and out on the main lake. There were just a little bit of patches of ice in the back of some of those pockets. There was a little bit of ice in the back, and it was like, it's been holding like 39 to 41. If you run up north, up by the Carbondale boat ramp, you'll get about a degree warmer up there, about 42 degrees, and the water's a little bit clearer up there, and there are freaking shad everywhere. I found a school of shad. I'm in 32 feet of water, and there's shad up to 15 feet on my downscan, and it's about 50 yards long and about 15 yards wide. You couldn't see what was in there. It was just a big blackout, It's pretty crazy. I don't fish that. I get away from that. That's too much, man.
I gotta stick up for you here. Then he said the mail was running late. He was actually early this evening. I couldn't believe it. There was some random person in my driveway. I was like, what is going on here? I know it's not the gate.
He wrote it down.
You got 15 minutes?
He wrote it down that I was actually up here like 15 minutes early.
Yeah.
So
I have to do something about that.
Well, don't get used to it.
No, I won't. Georgia Bassmaster, nice to see you, man. I haven't seen you in a while.
Got Sean in here. What's up,
Yeah.
man? Andy.
Uh,
Good deal. So let's get into talking to Mike a little bit here.
I'll say, wait a minute, hang on.
Oh, okay.
I just lost
Well, it's
everything
not.
there.
Let's hold on just a second. Audio is good.
Yeah.
So
I was going to ask you this a while ago. Where did it go?
we got Boo in here. Hey, talk about Cedar. Ask Boo what he did.
Yeah, Ron in there.
They had a
Rick
good
Lemire.
sack.
You know that guy, don't you?
Rick Lamar.
Lamar,
Little old Lamar.
Lee Mayer.
Lemire?
French.
French, yeah.
Yeah. He's part of your team, isn't he?
No,
No?
no,
Oh, I've seen a Rick.
no, he's got a Vexus.
He's got a Vexus, yeah. We asked Ken Smith about the Vexus. It was funny, you know,
Mike Russell, my hero.
we had Ken Smith on last week, and my buddy Ron, who may be on here later, he's just bought a Vexus.
Ron? Yeah, he's on.
And
Yeah.
so I was talking to Ron on the way up here last week, and we were talking about his new Vexus. And then the first thing Ken does on the live stream is start talking about how the Vexus looks kind of funny, and he's got that weird handle on it. And so after the live stream on the way home, Ron sent me a text. He said, "Man, that was a really good live stream, but you didn't have to be so hard on my new Vexus." But you know, everybody's got their own opinion.
Yeah, Rick says Lemar.
Yeah.
Lemar, there you go, the legend. All right,
Don't tell him his color. I painted him a color.
just see.
He goes out and he fishes with my buddy, the first pro I ever painted for, Danny Moorhead.
Sure.
And Ricky goes out and just puts a stomping on. I mean, he had 13, 14 pounds. And Danny kept looking at him, "What are you throwing?" And Ricky actually gave him the bait, and they both weighed in lemons.
That's awesome. That's teamwork, man. That is teamwork.
It's not
What's up,
very
Daryl?
often they'll give you what they're using.
No, well, that's the boater asking the non-boater,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah. I was fishing one of those BFLs over there, and we were in the back of, what was that? You know where Mineral Mounds is over there?
Yeah.
Okay, we were
Catawba.
Sure, Catawba. Okay, we were back in that area, and we were fishing. I can't remember exactly what it was, if it was a little creek channel or something, but my boater had been catching them real good on a spinnerbait, and he caught one or two on a spinnerbait. I just had a little shaky head. I had a spinning rod, 8-pound test, 15-pound braid, 7-foot medium rod, and I was just throwing a little. I think it was like a little centipede on probably an 1/8 ounce head or something. You know, it was June bug too.
Mm-hmm.
And no, it was a 4-inch yum dinger is what it was. June bug 4-inch yum dinger. And I was throwing it out in the middle of this pocket. Whack, I had, 16-incher. Whack, I had a 17-incher. I caught like 5 or 6 keepers right there. And he's like, "What the heck are you using back there?" And I said, "That's just a little shaky head." And I caught one more. He's like, "What do you mean a little shaky head? What kind of little shaky head?" I said, just a dark colored worm. Anyway, he tied one on, and we caught the crap out of him. I don't know how many keepers was in there, but we both had a decent limit, and there was a bunch of wood debris that had come in. This was in June, if I remember right, and they got a bunch of rain down there, and the water level had come up, and it put a bunch of wood. There was like wooden mats and stuff, and so I had a 7'4" heavy smoke rod that had 50-pound braid on it, and because I always take a frog rod with me no matter where I go in the summertime, just in case. But I kept throwing that frog and I wasn't getting bit, so I tied on like a 1-ounce jig, and I started punching, and well, not really punching, just sliding in between that wood.
Mm-hmm.
I pulled like a 4.5 pounder out of that wood pile, and so we left, and then we come back later, and he upgraded. He caught I don't know what it was, but he caught up about another pound and a half. But those fish were still in there. They kind of regrouped, and they were still biting. But it's crazy when you find that big a group of fish. And
So before we get started, Bass Guy's got a little question. He goes, "Does anybody remember the event or the year Woo Daves used the Zepco spin cast reel to skip under docks?"
I don't remember
I
that.
have no idea.
I always think of Guido Hibden when I'm thinking of that. Guido, long time ago, skipping under docks. To me, he's one of the he's the guy that comes into mind when I think about skipping the dock way back in the day
Mm-hmm.
with the little Guido bug.
Well, he won the classic in late 80s, early 90s.
Yeah, I can't remember exactly when it was.
I've got some autograph stuff from the jig actually that he skipped with.
Really?
The year he won the classic. I got an autograph package with his jig.
Uh-huh. Well, he's no longer with us, but his son and then all his grandsons are all sticks down there at Lake of the Ozarks. So it's in the blood,
Oh, Dion.
Lawson and I can't remember the other Peyton. Yep.
Lawson's actually fishing. He's out fishing this year. Him and his dad both.
Mm-hmm. He's doing the NPFL, isn't he?
Yeah.
Rick, what kind of boat are you getting? I've just seen on there. He said he was getting a new boat.
I think he went with the Vexus.
Really?
Yeah. Make sure you go back and
I
listen
would picture him as a
Ken
Phoenix.
Smith
I would
live
picture
stream.
him as a Phoenix guy.
Andy had asked about the citrus splatterback. He's forgetting that it's supposed to be mango citrus splatterback.
Mango citrus.
A Vexus 2080.
That's a big difference. If you don't have that extra word in there, you're not going to get as many bites. The color is so true.
Let's see.
I make plenty of citrus splatterbacks.
So you ready to? I guess we'll jump into this. I mean, they're still rolling in here, so we better get some stuff going here. Where you guys want to start?
Yeah, well, let's talk about you. What you're doing.
Well,
Kind of where you.
let's start with, if everybody pays attention, what may happen for them at the end of it.
That's right. Pay attention. I've been talking to this dude for the last couple of days, and he's got a lot of good information. So, Hidden's no Mike. That's right. Yeah, Mike Morfeld. So yeah, let's get into. Have you always been from Kentucky or where?
No, I
from
graduated from Festus.
From Festus in Missouri.
Yep. Don't hold it against me.
Okay.
Don't hold. Me and Jay both. Jay mentioned me in the leader, and my brother, which I think I seen him on here. My brother he's like, hey, there's my brother's name in the leader. I mean, back then, but to see, and I told him, I said, I've been in papers all over the country, North Carolina, the state of Washington. I've been in all kinds of them. But it was just something special about just that little bitty newspaper that in your hometown where you grew up.
Mm-hmm.
But that's where I started learning how to fish. I fished Mark Twain Lake, Lake of the Ozarks. But I used to fish the right there in Herky, the little creek, Joachim Creek.
Joachim Creek.
We used to drive down, me and my brothers used to drive down, there used to be a little spillway. That's where I actually learned how to catch bass, was at that spillway. And then that's where I taught my brothers. I got 9 years below my age. I got twin brothers. And we'd go down there catfishing all the time. Well, I seen this kid come down there throwing a worm, but he was putting a split shot about a foot up.
Plastic worm or?
No.
Oh, a live worm.
Well, yeah, he was throwing a plastic worm, but
Okay.
he just, you got Carolina rigs, whatever. And then there's guys call it the split shot rig. I call it the ghetto rig, because it wasn't nothing fancy.
Right.
And he throws it out and he catches the bass. I'm like, So I kind of do that, but I'm using a night crawler and I catch one about 2.5 pounds out of Joachim Creek, which at the time my brother was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
And that was it. It launched. And then later on, I had a buddy who got into tournament fishing. He fished Mark Twain Lake. And he's like, you got to fishing with me. He goes, I didn't have a boat. And he's like, you can be a non-boater. And the way I learn things, I learn from everybody I'm with. And I made a lot of mistakes because as a non-boater, I had a boater that was throwing a Zoom lizard, and he caught like 2 fish off of it. The next tournament, I had every color Zoom lizard ever made.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what they bite.
So, and and all that come from whenever I was living in Festus. I had a job opportunity to go down to Kentucky Lake, and of course, by then I done had a boat and fishing tournaments and all that stuff. I remember taking my 16-foot Stratus on Lake of the Ozarks, fishing a night tournament and running from PB2 all the way to the 3-mile marker by the dam in a 16-foot Stratus with a 48 special. By God, I did it. Ballsy. Very ballsy. Because that still ranks in my top 4 or 5 worst boat trips. Wasn't that one, but just Lake of the Ozarks. Now I live on a monster where you get a north wind or a south wind, you're dead because there's 8-foot waves.
Mhm.
But I had a chance to move to Kentucky, and whenever I went down there, I found a house to rent at the time, and it was literally on Kentucky Lake. Big Bear Resorts across the street, and the boat ramps right there. And I went, I am home. Whenever I went in, I looked at the guy. I said, what is it going to take for me to rent this house? He goes, as far as I'm concerned, you got it. I haven't left since, and that was 97. I haven't left there since, you know, and.
So that qualifies you as a local now.
Oh yeah, I'm a local now. I mean, a lot of people know me. I fished, even though I live on Kentucky Lake, I still go fish the Ohio River. I still go fish. You know, I was telling Gabe that one of the best days I ever had on Kincaid, I lived on Kentucky Lake, but I went up on Mother's Day weekend on Kincaid and just stepped on their neck. I mean, I had a blast. I still miss some of the small water fishing because Kentucky Lake gets so big. You kind of, you know, you don't want to run. You know, for me to go to Pisgah Bay, which is directly across the lake, I mean, it's a mile and a half or better just across the lake. And my little 16-foot Stratus used to zip right across. That was just before they had all the graphs that, you know, you can, all I had was like the old X75s, X65s. And I'd be running, I'd look, and I'd see it come up to like 2 foot and then drop back down to 14. I didn't think nothing about it after I started upgrading graphs and all that, and started looking at a map and go, I just drove across the city of Birmingham and there's foundations and trees out here. It's like, I could have died.
I did the same thing a long time ago before I had GPS. Yep.
I could have died. So now I know how to cross the lake.
Yeah, that's it's probably good that you had a light boat, you know.
Oh yeah.
Uh-huh.
And then I went from my little 16-foot Stratus to an 18-foot Stratus. Now I could make a run like down to Ken Lake, and I could fish up the north end of the lake, and I could trailer over and go fish around Berkley.
Mm-hmm.
So, what's your favorite, north or south? We won't get technical.
It doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. Okay.
I live on the north end, and I have so many spots, and I try to keep from fishing memories all the time.
Yeah.
But like a lot of the guys, I was talking to Craig Hipser on my way, and even Craig goes, you know, you fish memories, spots that I know hold good fish. I have spots that they're good for one fish.
Yeah.
You know, and in my opinion, I mean, everybody asks, how did I come up with the name Bag 5? And me and a buddy at the time, we were sitting down, and I said, how many you want in the bag when you weigh in? I want 5.
Yeah.
That's where Bag 5 came in at. And so I'm a guy that goes out and tries to catch my 5 first and then upgrade from there, because every 2-pounder I catch is free weight. Once I got that 10 pounds of 2-pounders, now I can get bigger. And you guys know, you're not just, sometimes that's all you're going to catch is just squeakers, but sometimes your kicker comes while you're going along. So
Luke wants to know, where can you buy the Bag 5 baits locally?
it depends on where you're at.
Where are you at, Luke? And he can tell you. I saw somebody else on there. I think it was Stephanie was asking about, does a co-angler have, maybe scroll up just a hair. Stephanie was asking about co-angling a little bit. We can get into that.
Oh, what's the disadvantage of being a co-angler?
What's your opinion on that, Mike?
I like the idea of the co-anglers. When I got into kind of, we'll just call it a heated debate with Dave Lefebvre on Facebook, where he wanted to kick the co-anglers out of the boat.
Mm-hmm.
And I come in and said, a lot of these guys that fish professionally were co-anglers at one time. His ordeal was having a co-angler who steps up to pro, and then they go back to the same location and they go to where he took that co.
Mm-hmm.
I understood that, but that becomes moral ethics.
That's more professional courtesy.
Exactly. That becomes, hey, we're at the boat dock.
Right.
Now, you wouldn't have done that,
Right.
But a co-angler for me, I mean, I like the idea because a lot of guys take and you learn a lot.
Yeah.
that I'm sitting here because I learned a lot from people.
Mhm.
And if some people would just pay attention to some of the little things you can ask them questions, but they're only going to tell you what they want you to know. You can learn more just by watching.
I think I fish as a co-angler in the BFLs. Locally, I fish as a boater, and probably one of the main reasons I fish as a co-angler in the BFLs is because I just don't have the time to pre-practice.
That's
And it's
a lot of it. That's a lot of money and time involved in that.
There is, and I just can't get off work enough to feel like I'm giving it a fair shake. But now saying that, if I do get time to get off a day or two earlier, I will definitely go and get on the lake. That way I feel more comfortable with, get a feel of the lake and stuff. As far as the disadvantage as a co-angler, I would say if somebody's really fishing specific spots on a piece of structure, you may have a disadvantage. Like say
bedding fish.
Yeah.
bedding fish, if they're fishing a specific stump or a brush pile and they nose into it, then you're kind of out there. If they're running a crankbait parallel to the bank, fishing really tight, that's a tough situation to be in.
You say that, but how many times have you seen a co-angler dragging a Carolina rig behind the boat and just put an ass whoop on
That's
somebody?
what you got to do. That's what I was kind of getting at, ways to kind of combat.
Yeah, I mean,
I have a name for that. And somebody that knows me will probably, when you're just dragging behind the boat.
Ball and chain.
Well, no, I have a name for it because my son did it to me and caught one about 3 pounds up on the Ohio River. And yeah, it was kind of funny about that.
Yeah.
I see somebody posted, Sean had put up that he has enough of a collection. He tries to keep it simple as much as I can. One thing that I try to tell people is that a lot of fishermen are OCD.
Mm-hmm.
I make my business off of that, but it's not bad. And I don't want people thinking I mean that bad. There are certain colors that you have that guys will go out and fish with, and they got to have this color. Well, in my opinion, we have this base colors, and we'll get into more about that. But you have a base color, and whenever you have your base color, it's based upon your water temperature, your clarity and all that. And that's how I pick and start out with colors I'm going to use. And so I've got one guy in particular, he's out of Louisville, and he said the best thing he had me paint 5 colors in everything from a 1.0 all the way up to a 10XD in all the same color. And he had 5 of these colors. And in his mind, he said, I am OCD. He goes, if I have 75 colors, I may throw 75 colors in a day. He goes, but if I got 5, I can match the water conditions and I can go out and I can take and, use it. And if they're not biting my chartreuse blue back, I'm throwing jig. I'm picking up a worm.
Right.
And that does help eliminate down, but you have to have your confidence colors, and a lot of that will pertain to what lake you're fishing. Yep. The lake will generate. I've got colors that I painted for one of your guests you had a couple of weeks ago, Mark Menendez, for a lake up in New York. He wanted a certain color because he said this color smashes, smallmouth. It's not that Mark's OCD about colors, but he's tried all these colors and which one works.
Yeah.
So, and that's why whenever I see somebody say that they simplified it down, they've done just that. If they're not biting one of these 3 colors, then I'm just going to pick up a spinnerbait.
They're not on a crankbait.
They're not on a crankbait.
Right.
Sometimes they're just not on a crankbait. Sometimes they are,
Right. Yeah. We touched a little bit on this, I think last week, but simplifying plastics. I remember when I first started fishing, I really got spread out on all the different colors and all the different styles. And next thing you know, you got more plastics in your boat than you'll fish in a whole year, So I've kind of come back to the basic styles and shapes that I've got a lot of confidence in, and then limit it to just a few basic colors. So something that's, green pumpkin base, and then something that's like a June bug base, like a darker and more natural.
When you go around, I'll say, at the end of the day, when you look at the bottom of your boat, it looks like somebody smashed a bruised banana and a watermelon all together in the floorboard.
Yeah.
You know you've been through the colors.
Right. So yeah, you're right. Simplifying it keeps you from getting spun out a lot.
I've simplified my plastics down.
Yeah.
Green pumpkin purple and watermelon blue flash. That literally, everybody that knows me goes out. If I pick up a shaky head, it's green pumpkin purple. You know.
And so you fish long enough to know that if they're not biting the shaky head, it's not the color. They're just not wanting the shaky head.
If they're not hitting one, they'll hit the other.
Right.
You know, and sometimes, you know, if I'm throwing a Carolina rig, which I tend to do a lot to find fish, I do one thing that a lot of people don't do. I throw a crawl bait on a Carolina rig. I throw a crawl, and the other color that I do throw a lot is summer crawl. Those are the three main colors that if I go fishing with somebody, I guarantee you those three colors are with me in the boat.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what Andy just asked.
Now, I got a question for you. What do you think about more of the untraditional colors? Like, let's just, clown is the one thing that comes to my mind. I mean, that's just something you don't see a lot of people throw.
Clown, like
on a jerk bait.
Like in jerk bait, or I'm just, with you painting baits and everything.
I'm not.
Well, what about like a morning dawn? That's more of a, you know, that's a popular color, but
Shut up, I just designed that
it's
for
pink, you know, it's pinkish.
It's right, yeah. But I mean, I'm just talking just oddball color combinations like that that you just don't see a lot of. Now, we know they work, and probably, I don't know, 20 years ago, they were kind of big, but you just don't.
our clown.
The clown. I mean, when that first came out, you know, that was kind of a kept secret for a while, but
Well,
it
that's
just,
like
it never
white
took
with a red
off.
head.
Mhm.
You
Yeah.
still see them in the tackle store today.
Right. But how many do you see people throw?
Very, very, like 1 in a million.
Yeah, that's my point. That's what I'm saying. What do you think about bait colors like that? I mean, do you think
That
it's
is your,
something
that is the somebody that simplified a color. They're simplifying their, you know, what they're wanting to do. It's your base color. It's not, all they did was overemphasize the red. The bait is white. You know, like say the white with a red
Right.
head. The clown, same way. But you're looking at what is the base color of your crankbait. You have your bases, in my opinion, you got a bone, which is, if you're not throwing more bone color, you're messing up. White, you got your translucent for your clear water. In fact, the last Forest Wood Cup, Brian Thrift won on a translucent bait. Then you got your chartreuse colors. I just asked Kevin Van Dam, for one of the guys that was on here, a chartreuse black back. And I asked him, I said, what did you think it is? And I said, or he asked me, and I said, it's a bluegill. I asked Kevin Van Dam, and he goes, bluegill.
Mhm.
So you got to have your chartreuse, and sometimes you got a black. But that's your base. That is what the basis of the color is. So whenever you're looking at a clown, you have a lot of chartreuse, you have a lot of red, and you got white.
Mhm.
So you're looking, the red is nothing more than just an attack mode, like a bull charging at a red cape. That's just to give them something to attack. The same thing with guys that put red hooks on it. That is just to draw them, to make them think it's blood. So now we eliminate the red. Now we're looking at a chartreuse white belly.
Mhm.
That has to do with the flash as that thing goes. It makes it look like it's moving faster than it actually is.
There you go, dropping science right
Yeah, I
there.
seen somebody a while ago, and I know Hellbass just coming on to them. I think it was Morris and Son Baits actually talking about just the old black grape worm.
Hey,
I think
you can throw any worm you want as long as it's purple.
That's right.
As long as it's, that was cream lures. That was the original worms, and that was what they said. They said, I don't care what color worm you throw as long as it's purple.
Yeah. I remember, I think that was Roland Martin. That was one of his lines that he used to use all the time. Yeah. Purple is a good, you remember the purple fire tiger tail? Remember that?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. That just kind of, we've talked about that before, but that just kind of disappeared.
One
Like
of
in
the-
the
one of the
80s, it was big.
Yeah, one of the big colors in the 80s was fire and ice on Lake of the Ozarks. Red and blue.
Red and blue. Yeah. I don't know. And you know that generation that got wise to that color is long gone.
Yeah.
And there's a new generation of fish
But
that
see-
hadn't seen that.
But
stuff
see, you
yet.
got that where they're not catching the fish. I've been on bull shoals to where the red, I mean, like a ruby red with a silver glitter. That was the big color for a handful of years
Mhm.
that the guys weren't talking about. But the question that I come back, why is plum still good on Kentucky Lake in June? If you're not throwing a plum
I
one,
use throw it every year.
I don't know. I don't know what it is. Doesn't matter. It works.
wait, now I'm gonna give you a little tidbit of information.
Hang on, can we mute this? No.
Okay, Kentucky Lake, one of the big worms that most people use, the old monster, Zoom old monster and plum. That's,
Our
if
tequila.
you, yeah, but
It's a standard.
it's a standard. But what weight do you use whenever you're fishing, say, a ledge or something like that?
And it really depends on how deep it is.
Okay.
If you're talking,
Quarter ounce is typically what I would go with.
Okay, quarter ounce, if you go to your pool and you put a quarter ounce with a Zoom old monster and you drop it in, it's gonna fall straight to the bottom.
okay.
You put a 3/8 ounce, it's gonna fall straight to the bottom a little faster.
Mhm.
But if you put a 5/16 on there, it snakes down. Not as exaggerated as I'm doing it, but
Right,
it
yeah, I
shimmies
get
it down. A 5/16 changes. So when you're a guy that, you're stroking that worm, stop laughing. When you're stroking your
That's
bait,
his joke
yeah,
usually.
when you're stroking your bait,
Yeah, write that one down, dude.
then it actually keeps, you got, every time it falls, it's got a little bit more shimmy.
Right.
But it's something that you would normally miss, but that came from, again, you're gonna hear me talk a lot about the people that I learned from. At one time, the leading money out of the back of the boat, speaking of co-anglers, his name's Chuck Rounds. And Chuck is hands down, if it's on a worm bite, he's tough to beat. But he was the leading money winner out of the back of the boat, been to the Forest Wood Cup and all that because of being able to throw a jig and a worm that same way. And I learned little tidbits like that, and it's like, never thought about it.
So how did he figure that out?
Throwing it in the pool.
Just throwing it in the pool and looking at it, huh?
He had a bunch of weights, just want to see what it looked like when it fell.
Yes, that's amazing.
And he put a
Just
5/16.
that little bit of weight difference.
Well, what it is you got the curvature of the tail. As that curve, it's catching water. Your quarter ounce isn't strong enough to make it cause the front of the bait or front of your worm to have action. 3/8 ounce is too much that causes it to pull straight.
Okay.
So your 5/16 is like the perfect thing to give it that shimmy.
That's huge. And you can apply that to a lot of stuff.
Ryan said you're telling all the secrets. He said, good thing Chuck isn't on YouTube right now. And, well, Denny he got the joke. He said he got it already. So he's got that wrote down. Sean made a good point up here too. Let me scroll back up here.
Somebody said, what's the three colors on Kentucky Lake? And you said green pumpkin.
I don't know,
purple, and watermelon.
Ryan's giving me trouble for giving out secrets.
Well,
As far
we
as-
got more to come.
We
right?
gotta go plastics or we gotta go crankbaits.
Let's go both.
Okay, well, my question is, how many of you guys go out on Kentucky Lake or anywhere else that's got smallmouth and you're trying to catch the biggest smallmouth you ever caught, or you've never caught a smallmouth? A lot of people, I've never caught a smallmouth. Okay. Or I've never caught one over 12 inches long.
Mm-hmm.
Chartreuse root beer.
Chartreuse root beer.
Green pumpkin purple worm, and I always dip the tail in chartreuse. The green tip does nothing other than just tick off a smallmouth.
Good. Yeah.
But I don't dip a plum worm in chartreuse. It's anything green or brown, because to me, like a Zoom or a Strike King or anything that's got the brownish with the purple, it's something about it that just makes a smallmouth just inhale it. So if you want to catch a smallmouth, throw a green pumpkin purple, which is more actually like I call it peanut butter and jelly, but a lot of people don't, but it's brown and purple, and tip the tail with that chartreuse. That will put, that has, just as you're alone, one of the boys, Bob, he can tell you it's caught fish everywhere I've taken, everywhere I go. That's in my boat or that's the first bait I have tied on.
So what size would
I like a
you
trick worm.
A trick worm.
I like a trick worm just for trying to get bites.
Mhm.
But I like a magnum trick worm I don't necessarily mess with the finesse little fat dudes. You know, I use the Magnum trick worms, or the actually Striking's come out with a new bullshit, or a couple years ago, the bull worm. I like the size of a bull worm. I may cut it down an inch or so, make it about the same length as a trick worm, but I always dip that tail in chartreuse. And there has been times that, you know, they want the bull worm as opposed to wanting, you know, just a regular trick worm.
So are you talking on a shaky head, or are you talking?
Oh yeah, I'll put it on a shaky head.
Okay, shaky head. Okay.
Don't rig the hook right through the middle of the bait. Take the bait, sorry guys, take the bait and offset it just a little whenever you hook it, and skin hook it on the outside edge. Dan Moorhead showed me that on a tube on a Carolina rig.
You know,
Believe it or not.
It's funny you said it, because around here we've got a lot of creeks and smaller rivers, whatever, that just crystal clear water. And you know, you want to go catch a bunch of smallmouth in one day and just learn how they react. I mean, that's where you need to do it, because you can see everything they do, and you'll see them come out behind rocks that you had no idea they were sitting there.
Yeah, you can see top to bottom.
Yeah, top to bottom, everything. And I mean, you could be standing, you know, 10 feet away and catch them all day long. But you were talking a while ago about, you know, the crawls and the pinchers and everything. I throw that packer crawl a lot because it stands up in those creeks. And like you were saying, dying was just the tips, chartreuse like that. And you'll see they get, I mean, just downright pissed when those things, when they see them standing up like that. And they attack. You know,
Well,
they attack
to me,
the big
it's
time.
like flipping on the middle finger.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, that's all there is to it. And sometimes with smallmouth, if they feel your weight, that's why you got to go with that lightest weight you can. If they feel your weight, when they suck it up, they'll spit it out.
Yep. I completely agree with that.
My catch increased by this. And plenty of people that's fished with me, they can tell you. When you got a good rod and reel combo and you're set up and you're pulling it, and you'll learn the difference. That's a rock. And just come over something. But you can tell that tick that you just got to bite. I don't keep pulling it to see if he's on there. Here's your tip. Bass don't have hands. If you feel dunk, they had to pick it up with their mouth. They don't have hands. As soon as I feel that dunk, I lower my rod and set the hook. As we all know, hook sets are free.
Yep. Real quick here. So Jay had put a poll up on Facebook. It just scrolled away here, but I was on this poll the other day and I'd seen it. It was actually a pretty good question. So he put a poll on Facebook about what was the most hard bait used or overused.
The most utilized bait.
Yeah, utilized bait. And he said that the majority was the square bill.
Yeah.
But he wants to know, what is your most popular bait you paint?
Depends on time of the year, because I'll be painting like a ton of flat sides and jerk baits right now, and I get called, like the Gunnersville. They're having the Toyota tournament here, not this weekend, but the following weekend. A lot of guys are wanting rattle traps, and then Gunnersville's known for their rattle traps. But I throw, I paint the KVD 1.5 has been everybody's go-to.
Yeah, I'm not surprised.
And the weird thing that I told you the other day, I asked everybody, I said, what's the number one selling square bill in the country? It's literally a KVD 1.5.
I believe it, yeah.
What color?
Sexy shad.
Nope.
Splatter.
Chartreuse black back. That is the
That's
number
the
one
second
selling.
one, but yeah.
That was my answer first. I said it's either sexy shad or chartreuse and black, because chartreuse and black predates the sexy shad. So that's
And I
just
gotta
an
give it
old
up to
school
Gabe.
color.
He did. He said sexy shad, and then he goes, or a chartreuse black back.
Yeah.
I was like, huh.
Yeah.
But yeah, that is, and one of the things is like, for me being a custom painter, a lot of these guys that buy a custom painted bait, they can get a 1.5 and they can be in their boat, and if it gets snagged up, they go up there and dig it out. The guys that are hardcore, the guys that are throwing the 10XDs around brush piles, or the Berkley digger or dredger at 25.5, these guys are all, they're fishing deep. And the hardest sell for me as a custom painter is a trap. Yet I catch them on.
Just because there's maybe so many out there? Or?
No, you throw it out there, it goes whoop, right to the bottom. You ain't getting it
Big
back.
old hooks and
You can break off and one will float up.
Yeah.
How many times you sat there going, oh, I hope it floats up. That's my last one.
Yeah, rattle trap don't float up.
You throw a 3/4 ounce or a 1/2 ounce trap, it's gone.
Yeah.
That was like the first time I ever threw a spinnerbait on a spinning rod. Snap!
Yeah, that's what took me so long to buy a Megabass. Just because the thought of losing that $25 bait.
Well, my
Because it
first
suspends, it doesn't float up. It's
my
like, you know.
my first
Especially when
expense.
it's snagged on the limbs.
Yeah.
Well, that was my first expensive bait was and it wasn't that expensive, but it was the Lucky Craft Sammy, and it's because it floats.
Right.
It didn't float when it's 20 yards up in a tree.
That's
But
true.
it's
That's,
still-
that's usually
It
rare,
floats. But then I started getting in, I started learning that some of these things, you have to have. If you're going to play the tournament game, you have to. You have to. You have to spend a little bit, because if you don't, you're getting beat out.
Mhm.
I'm old school because I fish where the fish are supposed to be. I am not as up on the live scope and everything. I'm not as up on that. I can pull up a spot and make 10 casts and they're not here and move to the next spot. A lot of guys I look and go, they're not here. I just like, my line's in the water more than theirs is, and it's not that I'm catching more, but again, I'm going for 5. If I got 4 in the box and I stop on a spot and I happen to catch one dumb one, I got 5 now, and that 5th one may have just beat you, and that's the whole ticket to it, and I'm old school. I fish where the fish are. I do use my graphs and everything, but it's still fish where the fish are supposed to be. You'll be all right.
Yeah.
John's got a good question on here. It says, what is it, or what lakes do you do the most common paint jobs for? Like Lake of the Ozark, Kentucky, Guntersville, Chickamauga,
Yes.
all those?
Yes. Seriously.
Yeah.
I mean, he named the top 4.
Okay.
Because here's the thing, I get a lot of the Lake of the Ozarks guys, but I mainly get the Lake of the Ozarks guys for their spring colors. I also get Kentucky Lake because it's a structure lake. I'll get, I get from now. I mean, I have probably 5 orders just for Kentucky Lake, and they want them in April. And they use them all year long. When my years ago, whenever my blue glimmer came out, it just took everybody. It was destroying, Sexy Shad. And Sexy Shad's a good color, but after a while, they've seen so many hundreds of them, thousands of them, they get, So I take in, for Guntersville, I have little tricks as far as what colors I throw on Guntersville. And I'm not a grass puncher because I don't live on a grass. Kentucky Lake hasn't had grass real good for a long time. So you have to kind of adjust how you do it, which we'll get into my method here shortly. But Guntersville, there's a lot of reds for the springtime. A lot of good colors that, I get asked for. I don't get asked for some of the colors that you would think, because like Guntersville's traps, I'm not painting chartreuse black back, and yet that's the #1 selling square bait.
Mm-hmm.
They're wanting to imitate a lot. I am not an illustrative painter. To me, the chartreuse black back, anybody can paint.
Right.
So whenever I'm sitting there talking, and I'm not name dropping, he can back this up. But when I'm talking to Kevin Van Dam, he tells me, he goes, Mike, anybody can paint a chartreuse black back or chartreuse blue back. He goes, you have a weird thing that you can paint them and make them look real.
Mhm.
You can paint a chartreuse blue back, but yet it has a natural look to it. It's not as illustrative, even though you're using colors that, clash with each other. And it's like just adding something here and there to make it more natural. I want everything natural, but I want it to have my base colors. Chartreuse black back, chartreuse. I like a chartreuse brown back better than I do a black back.
Mhm.
But that's just me.
Yeah.
Old school guys,
That root beer color.
hot mustard.
Hot mustard, yeah.
The old hot mustard color has caught, so many fish, it's ridiculous.
I seen someone on here asking about what's a good price for a 16-foot aluminum boat. And
That's your wheelhouse there.
yeah, that's what I've got. I got a Express 1650. So if you're just gonna buy just a base aluminum boat, 16 by let's say 52, boat and trailer, brand new is gonna cost you about $4 to $5, depending on what's on the inside of it. Now used, Well, that just depends on the market. I don't know what the aluminum boat market is right now, but as many people that's been fishing, it's probably hard to find a good deal right now. If you're going to find it, the fall and the winter's the time to do it. Spring's a seller's market for the most part. People, when it starts getting warm, people want to buy boats and get out there.
I'll say, tiny boat nation out there, man. Small aluminum boats have went nuts.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Did I ask you, did you see the boat that Jason Christie just went with?
No, what do you have?
I want to verify this.
Oh, he's with Express. Yeah, Express. Yeah.
Same as Billy Lowen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and Luke Duncan's with Express too. There's several of them that went to the Express.
Bill Lowen told me, he said, Mike, he goes, I can blindfold you, have 3 boats sitting side by side and walk you into my Express, take off and cross Kentucky Lake. He goes, and you can't tell me which boat you're in.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, well, if it was in my Ranger, I'd know. That's my barge.
Yeah, they've come a long way with the aluminum stuff. But yeah, you're gonna, I think I paid $2,500 for my boat trailer, and it had a 25 horse Johnson on it, and I ended up selling that, and then it had a trolling motor I had to do some work to it. Bottom line, I put a lot of money into it, but definitely 16 by 50, 52, 54. Personally, if you have the option, I wouldn't go with a 48 if I could get away from it, and not riveted. Go with welded. That way you don't have to worry about it. I had a 1442 aluminum raft that was welded, and that was riveted. And luckily I didn't have any problems with it. But as I was shopping for a bigger boat, you ran across a lot of people that had the riveted ones, and you got to talking to them and ask them, does it leak? And they're like, well, if you're out there for a couple hours, there might be a little bit of water. And you're like, yeah, it leaks.
Well, did you see what Ricky said?
No.
You go with the Vexus.
Yeah.
Right.
You know what? The next time, I guess if we
There
ever
you
see
go.
Rick out there, we're just going to think he's one of them boaters getting ready to pull a ski or something. Looks like a fishing ski boat with them rails on there.
He's gonna have the Vexus team jersey on.
Hey, I had
a
a buddy who was a Ranger guy forever. In fact, he gave me this hat, and he bought. I don't want to say I talked him into it, but I did. He bought a Vexus, but he bought the one that was the aluminum with the fiberglass cap and that. He swears that he had a 120 Ranger, which is the economy version of the 520 hull, and he swears that he said I've taken that boat in places he says that 120 would not have made it. And I'm like, whatever. I'm like, the wind. If we pull up next to Rick and he was in aluminum, I'd go. So his boat would sit there and turn.
They're light. That's if you guys don't know, I bought an Ultrex, and that's one of the reasons why. Because when you're out there on the lake and the wind's blowing in an aluminum boat, it's like a little sail. Even a bigger aluminum boat.
Like Denny said, what's the Vexus?
Yeah, what's a Vexus?
I think it's a female part or something. I don't know.
We got us others. Dave's in here. What's up, Dave?
Here we are ripping on Rick tonight.
But no, in all sincerity, to answer a question, the 1.5 square bill will get the job done most of the time because you can bang them off rocks. They'll go through wood. It all depends on, which bill angle, and the number one seller is the Strike King. I like, the aspects of the hydrodynamics of the Berkley because, I used to be the designer for Berkley, and I like they have some hydrodynamics that makes a bait go a little bit deeper, but it's got a smaller profile. I like I wish we could combine both of them to make the bigger profile with the hydrodynamics and make it go deeper. Just because I like the Square Bull 7.5, everybody knows me for the longest time. I said, that's out of the lineup that they have, that's my favorite because I have had that thing hit 9 foot with a 2.5 size body.
Damn, that's impressive.
I painted a certain color for myself that is, whenever I went out, I caught 17 fish. The smallest one was 3.2.
That's a good
on
day.
that bait, but I'm covering water that these guys throwing a size of a bait that they're not catching them. and it's got the action of of your 2.5 action, the wiggle, and you're just not catching them with any other type of bait. And man, I got dialed in and busted them.
And you're able to get out there a little deeper too with that bait.
I got an answer Bass Guy 1960.
So his question is thoughts on the discontinued Excalibur baits, XR, XRK, and XC.
They were Excalibur was owned by Pradco or by Booyah. When these guys take like these guys that throw a one knocker, the Excalibur one knocker, we all know it, we love it, it's great. They had signed a lot of pros that had their signatures on them, and they were having to pay these guys royalties for years and years. These guys aren't even with the company no more. I have a jerkbait right now that I'm matching the color that was a Kevin Van Dam Excalibur color before. This predates when he went to Strike King. I have, this bait that I'm matching this color. But these guys had their name on it and they had to be paid royalties. Well, what happened is they took and decided to save themselves some money, and they shut down the Excalibur line and switched it into Booyah. Now, all you guys that want to argue, I am a machinist by trade. All you guys that want to argue, it's different. The paint is a little different on some of them pertaining to your Rayburn Reds. The newer versions or the newer baits have more orange. That depends on the guy who paints it. Literally, I've been to China, I've been to South Korea, I've been to these places and seen it. It depends on the guy who's painting it, whether he's heavy-handed with the red, because they're painting the orange first and then the red on top to blend them. That's how it is. But whoever's painting the red for that, they're painting thousands in a day. And depends on how low he takes or the angle that he's holding it to spray that red. So you're going to have more orange. But I can tell you that I have scales that measure down to 1/10 of a gram. And I have cut apart, I have weighed a Booyah and I've weighed a Excalibur. And there is literally no difference. Guys go, well, Excalibur said theirs was 5/8 and Booyah says it's a 1/2 ounce. That's the hooks. That's it. Your one knocker sound, the plastic it's made out of, everything. They're the same baits.
So you were telling me you actually dismantled some and did some measurements on them, and
I dismantled a couple of them.
What's it? Oh crap! I can't even name that. The guy did 6 cents. Cut all the baits in half.
Yeah, it was Milliken.
Milliken fishing. Yeah, he went there, did the same thing.
Kind of measured them.
Well, it's because
because
of like he was asking a while ago about paint baits for Gunnersville. Traps that's a way of life down there, and they catch them all the time, all year long with traps. And when I say traps, I mean the red eye shad,
lipless crankbaits,
exactly. And I keep getting, I tell them, hey, I can paint you some Excaliburs. And then I say, after a while, the Excaliburs, these guys started trying to sell them for $25 for a Rayburn Red. I'm like, what in the world? And I'm like, so I decided to take the Booyah after I found out that they discontinued it so they didn't have to pay royalties for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
I found out that by cutting apart 3 or 4 of them so I could weigh different pieces, that it was the same thing.
So what have you noticed about, or have you noticed any color changes over the years? You know what I'm saying? Like some of the stuff that was a staple 20 years ago, are you still seeing it as popular nowadays, or has there been like a transition to a whole different kind of color schemes and things?
You see what I was referring to a while ago as the illustrative colors. You see some of these, like if you look at a sexy shad, it really, it has like the base colors like I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm.
But yet if you looked at how they painted them, they've had the back color changed on a sexy shad 5 times. I can tell you that the original color is the one that everybody kicked butt with. That's the one that caught all the fish and it was dialed down to that back color changed the influence of it all. But they changed it.
Was it like a light softer blue color or something? Or am I thinking
Silvery blue.
Silvery blue. That's
Yeah.
what I'm thinking.
Now-
Okay.
I'm glad you brought that up because Academy's brand has got more of that blue like that silvery blue.
The problem is,
but they're
but you're leaning the wrong way in what you're thinking, because if I say silvery blue, you're automatically thinking more blue, and it's not. It's actually more silver. You have to almost look at it and go, is that blue? Is that green? What is that? It's not, it's more silver than it was,
the blue.
you know, the blue or the aqua color or whatever. It was more kind of they actually had two. One was more of a silvery blue, one was more of a silvery blue-green. I can tell you the worst color I ever painted was something that was like straight up aqua. That blue-green, that won't catch anything. If you want to practice casting, have me paint you one just so you can practice casting. Or if you got a buddy in the boat and you really want to jack with it, this one here's catch a fish. It'll scare every fish from the back of the boat toward the front.
Well, in that case, I'll take 50 of those.
They're on sale.
Michelangelo asked a question. So the paint is what weighs down the bait? No. The paint is roughly about 1 mil thick. The clear coat is roughly 3 to 4 mil thick, up to about 5. The next question that was asked about a Norman bait used a gel coat, and that was the equivalent to about 17 or 18 coats of like a automotive clear. Jesus.
Yeah, Michelangelo also asked about a giveaway, and we'll talk about that here in a little bit.
He is trying to get there.
It's coming up soon. So let's dive into, you kind of touched on it a little bit, but we talked about the other night, but your how you approach finding fish, like your fish location, how you pattern fish, or just locating fish.
I watched, as I told you, Brandon Polinick. He's a buddy of mine. I've painted for Brandon.
Yeah, we're good friends too.
Yeah.
He watches the stream all the time.
He may be, actually. Seriously, he may be. You just don't know it.
What's up, Brandon?
But Brandon came out with this thing that was on YouTube, and it's this triangle theory. And I'm sorry, I did go to Festus. He is like an upper echelon of different thought patterns, and I couldn't get into it. As far as I took some of the pieces that worked for me. There became a time not real long ago, about 3 or 4 or 5 years ago, that something switched in me, and it was paying attention to where are these fish. I had one of my best buds. He's like, I can catch fish if you put me on them. He goes, I just can't find them. I said, all right. I said, I'm gonna teach you how. I said, we was at Kentucky Lake at the house. I said, pick a bay. I said, any bay.
Pick a bay, any bay.
Just pick a bay. And he goes, Sugar Bay. I went, okay. We took off, went to Sugar Bay. I said, now, where you want to start? And he goes, I don't know. I said, all right. I said, we're going to break this down very simple. We're going to label everything A, B, C, D, and maybe E, whatever. And we're going to start with taking a little bit of dock talk from somebody that you trust. Like I call you and say, don't lie to me. I won't lie to you. And you say, hey, I called him in the back of the bay. Well, that could have been a week ago. But I have no place to start. So I look at the time of the year, and I haven't cast a line in the lake. So I go to the back of the pocket. In the early spring, they could be back there. We got a full moon, they could be back there spawning. So I'm going to label that A. I'm going to go back there and fish. But whenever you're looking at it, by the time of the year, should the fish be spawning? Water temperature is 75 degrees. No, they're done. For the most part, there may be a little bit of a wave, but the bulk of the fish. So you're going to start at either the back of the pockets, you're going to start at the secondary points, or you're going to start main lake points, or you're going to look at structure that's out in deeper water. Well, I know if it's April, I'm not going to go sit on a ledge. Yes, there could be fish there. There's fish everywhere. But I'm going to go, I want the multitude of fish. So I'm going to pick A. I go to the back of the bay. If I catch them, I nailed it. But if I didn't, then I've got to look at my other 3. So I automatically eliminated D, the offshore structure.
Especially since you got a little intel, even though it's a
Yes.
week old.
Yes.
So a week ago they were back.
They were there.
So
And so now I have B or C to pick from. Secondary points. there's something that ties all these together, but secondary points is where I'm going to go to next. Now, your fish that you're looking for, and I learned, and I'm going to give credit where credit is due. I learned this from Dave Stewart. He's a well-known guide on Kentucky Lake, and he helped open my eyes on this. You have creek channels. Shad move by the deepest water possible. Shad will take and swim. Now you can see shad out on a flat flicker, but your big black balls of shad, like you were talking about earlier, they're going to move by the deepest water possible because they can either move up and down or in and out. You know, they can get away. They got to have an escape route. Deeper water gives them an escape route. It'd be like you can be in an open park and somebody's chasing you. You can go any direction you want to go. Or you can be in this room and somebody's chasing you. You can't go very far.
Right. They got an option to go.
So they have the option to go wherever they want to go. So the bigger balls are going to move by the deepest water possible. So I go into a bay. I'm looking at a map to see the creek channel butts up next to this point. Inside a pocket is your secondary points. I'm going to butt up next to it. And so when I go secondary points, I'm in the very back of the pocket in a foot and a half of water. I pull out to the secondary. And that's what I did with this boy. We pulled out. I said, all right. I said, we're going to fish. We're going to go out to secondary. We pulled up and we both doubled up with 3-pounders. I said, we found them. I said, now we know we've done eliminated A. We know D's eliminated. Why would we go anywhere else other than B? Okay. Now, if we went back a couple days later, they're not on B. They could be. It's their transition. But so to further this along, I talked to Gary Klein. And Gary told me, because I called him, I was frustrated because I'd been catching fish shallow, right creek channel, smashing on a bank block. He said, Mike, them fish aren't moving in and out. He said, they're not moving in the bay and way back out. He goes,
so when you say in and out, you mean they're not moving from the
shallow
way all the way out to the ledge?
Exactly. Yeah. They're not moving in and out. What they're doing is they're moving up and down the water column. Mm-hmm. And that's where, again, whenever I tell somebody you can increase your bite by going fan casting, but starting and paralleling the bank. Anybody that knows me knows parallel the bank, you will catch more fish because you're keeping it in that strike zone longer. Mm-hmm. A lot of guys will pull up, have a point, and they'll pull up to it, and they'll just be nose right at the point, sit fan cast all around that point. But yet they won't go to the side and come down at different angles at different depths. That increased my catch ratio at least 30%. And so you've got your A, B, and C. So break down your area, make sure you know where your creek channel is. That's the number one that you want to base everything you're off. When you're going shallow, I want to be on the creek channel side, right around that area, because that you limit down where you're going to go. B, creek channels that come close to a secondary point, which may have a flat next to it. You can be sitting in the creek channel throwing out across the flat, but you're still working that secondary point area. If they're not there and it's later on in the year, say May, you could still have in May fish that are moving in or fish that are moving out. That is what you get whenever you hear these pros talk about, I'm catching them going and coming. Mm-hmm. Some are coming in, I got some going out. The ones going out, I can tell when I catch them, they're skinnier. They'll notice by the size of the fish, whether they're bigger or smaller, whether they're coming in or going out. So you may hit a secondary point and not catch anything. Well, you go to your A, B, or C. Which one am I going to do? Don't think I'm going to go to A because the water temp back there isn't justified, because I asked a question, but I'm going to give a tidbit of information, and this is something for you guys to remember. A shad is an air hog. When we're talking about the big groups of shad, a shad isn't these things as they're moving. That's why they constantly keep moving, because they have to have air to breathe, to live. That's why the deepest water possible, they're moving all over the place. You said you found shad holding at 15 foot. That's because the oxygen level at that point is better than it would be at 13 foot. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Which brings up that question right there. Stephanie, read that bottom question there.
When you see a thermocline in the summer, how does the bait fish live below that? Isn't that your less oxygenated water? I've seen some below the line last summer. I'm gonna answer that just for the simple fact is a lot of these lakes have natural springs in it. you may see a thermocline, but some of them have natural springs where the water actually may be cooler. There is a big thing on Kentucky Lake that I learned this from Mark Menendez. Again, I'm going to name drop, but I'm only name dropping so I can justify where my information comes from.
Give a credit due or credit.
Exactly.
Right.
Mark Menendez said, come the end of June, first part of July, he goes, I go shallow. He goes, for some reason, them fish move shallow. He goes, I can't tell you why. He goes, but they'll move shallow for about 2 or 3 weeks and then they'll pull back out. And it has to do with the oxygen levels. And when Stephanie was talking about the thermocline, some of these, I don't deal with the thermocline as much on Kentucky Lake because I've caught them in 40-foot deep,
Well, it's a river too. It's got moving
exactly.
water.
You got moving water. So I don't deal with the thermocline a whole lot. And I'm a bank beater. I'm just going to tell you, I can catch them on ledge, but I'm a bank beater. That's me. But so whenever you see fish below a thermocline, how are they going to live? Well, number one, water is H2O, but you're not going to see that many shad like you would in the more oxygenated water. So when you have the oxygenated, we're focusing on what these fish eat. Okay, crawdads in the spring. And I'm going to come back to the shad. Why do we throw a red crawdad? Red crawdad because it's been buried up in the mud, and when they come out, one thing that a bodybuilder like Gabe,
Everybody sit up straight then.
what do you think about it? One thing you always hear people talk about carbo load, but it's not that. What is one thing that these guys do? Weightlifting, they want to eat a lot of protein.
Protein, that's right.
Crawdads hold more protein
Than
a shad does. That's why they're aiming more at the crawdad in the springtime. They're also getting the red color is kind of a mystery because it, a lot of people that like a Rayburn red. If you ever, me and Van Dam was talking about it. If you ever see the crawdads on a Rayburn, they're almost black. They're almost black. They're black with like little hints of red. They're not as maroon looking like all the baits that are painted. Maroon and gold and that, because I paint them, I know. But if you really want to match the color, it's mostly black. So that's why they focus on, in the early spring, they'll focus on that higher protein because they're getting ready to do they're getting, it's like going to work. For them, it's drinking a cup of coffee and going to work. Well, as the season progresses, they kind of start getting off of that after they get done with the spawn. They got to be healthy enough to live through the spawn. And they'll be sick for about a week. After they spawn, they'll pull out and they'll sit there. Sometimes they'll sit there belly on the bottom. And they'll be sick for about a week. And then they'll start wanting to feed up. They want to start putting on some fat to get them through the heat of the summer. Because their metabolism is going to speed up and they've got to burn more and all this.
So you think they will pull out really deep and rest or sit on the bottom and then they'll come back in to feed
I was speaking to a Kentucky Lake, another guy, he's a guide on Kentucky Lake, and we were talking about catching fish 1 week in 1.5 feet, 2 feet of water and spawn, and then a week and a half, we're catching them in 30, 31 foot.
Mm-hmm. Right.
That hasn't been normal, but since Kentucky Lake going through everything that it did, they pull, they would pull out to your main lake points. Remember what I said, your A, B, C, and D.
Sure.
Well, after the spawn, then I'm going to have main lake points deep, and that's where I'm going to break them down, and it just depends on your moon phase. Pay attention to your moon phase. I did something one time that you guys have probably thought about, is you look at the solar lunar calendar where it says best time to fish between 11 and 12.
Right.
And you thought, okay, while I'm fishing between 11 and 12, I'm going to catch a fish.
It's 11, 23, and 12,
yes,
13.
But you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I actually did that to where I told myself my boat was not going to be moving except for me fishing. It's true. Mm-hmm. I mean, I caught more fish by not running at that point in time. Now, I don't want to tell everybody, it's mumbo jumbo, but I really did catch more fish by, not running during those best times.
And a lot of times, and I've experienced similar things, you have throughout the course of a day, you'll notice a bite window that opens up.
Mm-hmm.
And you go back and look at the chart, and there's been many days where it was the best time period of the day.
I wish we could sit down and watching one of the MLFs where they're
Oh, that blows me away.
nobody's catching anything.
Yeah.
I'd love to be able to match that with because you never know when they're going to be fishing. They might have fished 6 months ago, but I'd love to have, hey, they're fishing and it's noon to whatever. And I look at the calendar and it's telling me that, they should be catching fish. I'd like to see how that played out, because there is times on your solar lunar calendar that you're not catching. It says the worst times to fish. And I just wonder if that's when they're not getting bites.
Yeah, because
I think there's more
they'll have an
science.
hour and a half period where nobody, 20 of the best anglers in the whole world, nobody's catching a fish. And then all of a sudden they just start lighting that score tracker up.
Oh,
There's something going on.
there has to be something to it. And that's one thing. There's little things you can parlay around with. You look at your A, B, C, and D. When you go into a lake, pick an area, pick a bay, pick something for yourself based upon the time of the year. Are they spawning? Are they pre-spawn, post-spawn? Look at your watercolor. A big thing is the wigglewort thing on Lake of the Ozarks as opposed to, Kentucky Lake. Why can I catch so many on Lake of the Ozarks on wigglewort, but I can't hardly catch them? There is guys that catch some on Kentucky Lake on a wigglewort, but it's nowhere near.
The Little John is kind of
Little John MD.
deal, isn't it? Yeah.
The Little John.
Yeah.
Now I do have permission to say this. Strike King is about to release a flat side. It's been in the works for a long time.
First
now.
right here.
I have permission to say that there is a new flat side coming out. But I'm a flat side junkie. I love flat side baits. And I love it because I'm a painter, and that big old flat side, I can make it look beautiful.
It's like a billboard.
Yeah, it is. And you get that extra, so I like a flat side, but I also like the way I like a tighter wiggling bait, as opposed to some of them.
What's up, Joe? I see Joe on here. I haven't seen him in a while.
I wanted to see him.
Good to see you. Let's touch back on that crawdad thing again. They're also, I think that, no, I'm still good on that.
You need anything?
No, I'm good.
You good? There's also, in the spring, there's an emergence of a new food source that has been hibernating. The crawfish are, for the most part, they're not really around. That water's 43, 44, 45. They just get kind of hibernate. When it warms back up, I'm thinking, I don't know the exact temperature, but to me, it's about 48 to 52 is when you start seeing a little bit of a jig bite. Or around here you do.
Mm-hmm.
But that's because part of it is because, like you said, the fish are seeking a high protein food source. And then all of a sudden they're seeing these crawfish that they hadn't seen in 3 months coming up. So they kind of get focused on this new bait that's just right there on the bottom.
Well, you have the nutrients from the rains washing it in before he comes back. Little tidbit. There is a certain water temperature. Again, Dave Stewart taught me this, and I exercised and learned it for myself with, what I was taught. 70 to 72 degrees. Anything whenever you get over 72, 73 degrees is whenever the oxygen starts depleting in water.
Okay.
The heat actually makes your water, causes the oxygen level to go down. So when you're going to the back of the bay and you heard me say 75 a while ago, I automatically know I'm gonna pull out, because I know the bulk of the shad's not gonna be there. Their food's not gonna be there. That's why I'm going to the secondary points next to the creek channel. The creek channel's deeper, it could be cooler, the higher oxygen content. That's where your ABCs come into play. If I'm at my secondary point, I got 77 degree water, then I know I need to go a little further out. There's a lot of things that come into play with that. Now, nighttime, you'll see, right at dusk, you'll see them bull rushing the banks.
Oh, there he is.
So you throw a hula popper with a worm on the back.
Pink.
But that's part of what the A, B, and C's have to do. You got to remember, there's all these little tricks that once you start practicing them, you become good at them.
They're just little pieces of the puzzle.
I don't know everything, but if I can give somebody just something that fills a little hole, then we've done our job.
Right.
Anytime you talk to them, I talk to somebody. If I can plug one little hole, then I'm doing good on it.
And Stephanie, back to wrap up that thermocline question.
Wait a
you
minute,
had-
who's the best guide for a guy from Missouri to use on Kentucky Lake? I'm going to, oh my gosh, that is a loaded question.
You got a lot of friends down there.
Me.
You? There you go.
No,
the obvious.
I don't want to say anything.
This guy.
Yeah. The guy with two thumbs. I mean, a guide, it depends, because there's a lot of good people that do crappie fishing, bluegill fishing. I'll tell you something I'd love to do. I've never got to do it. Go red ear fishing on Kentucky Lake and catch a 1.5 pound red ear. You know, they're that long and that tall. I've never went red ear fishing.
You can do it down here.
Sure.
Havasu, Lake Havasu.
No, I mean in the
They got-
backyard.
Oh yeah, you got.
I don't keep my red ear in here. They're about like this. They're pretty big.
Let me wrap up that thermocline thing real before I forget this thought. But so the thermocline is where the water has enough oxygen to sustain the fish. It's basically the coolest water that still has enough oxygen to sustain the shad for the most part. But having said that, on your graph, you will definitely see the line, but it's fuzzy. So it's not at exactly 15.3 feet.
Kind of like my figure.
Exactly.
It's fuzzy. It's fuzzy.
It can vary, you know, they can kind of be in, you know, that band, that thermocline band. So let's just say it varies from 15 to 17 and a half. Okay. So, and they can also, Sean was talking about this, Sean Hurst, that biologist, those fish can also dip down below it for a while and come back up. They're just not going to really live down below it for a long extended period of time. The same way a fish can be really, really deep. Say a fish is out 30 feet off the side of a ledge on Kentucky Lake. Their swim bladder is adjusted for them to be comfortable at that depth. But they can still shoot up if they see a school of shad coming over in 15 foot of water, and they can still come up and grab some shad and then go right back down. Now, the problem that you have is when you rip them up off the bottom and they come from 30 to 0, that's when that swim bladder explodes or swells up and they have a problem going back down. But fish can make little subtle adjustments, but they're always going to be in the best environment for them and, you know, for an extended period of time. So that's
right.
That's kind of my take on that thermocline deal.
I was asked about the guide, and Mr. Lemur said that Craig Hipsher. I can tell you that Craig has fished the Montgomery County bass, and Craig has won the last 6 he's been in. He has won 6 times. If you ever look up on Facebook and look up the Montgomery County, I just want to give everybody a little tidbit. Craig is throwing a color that I painted at Bag 5 Baits.
And they just went up $2.
And they just went up $2. But I'm just going to let you know that he literally, I talked to him earlier today. He has caught 2 9-pounder, or he's caught a 9-pounder, and somebody else is in the know on this color. And I am the old school snitches get stitches. If anybody asks me to paint a color, you ask me to paint a certain color for you. That's your color.
That's your color, right?
He calls me and says, I gotta have. I'm gonna say, well, let me call him first.
Chartreuse black back.
The chartreuse
Hey,
black.
Gabe always says it's okay.
So, but I can tell you that there is like 4 or 5 guys that are in the know of this one color, and he is just dominating. I mean, big fish. And if you look at that Montgomery Bass Club, and I don't know them personally, any of the bass club, but I can just say you can see the weights. That is a good judge for, like, right now what can be caught. He's won the last 6 he's been in.
Right.
So it's and I painted the color that he's been throwing.
Yeah.
So
yeah, he said I fished with Craig a couple times. So during a BFL, and we fished a regional. We practiced for a regional down at Lake Cherokee. So I've been in the boat with him. He's a good teacher, patient. He's a good crappie fisherman too. Not just a good bass fisherman, he's a good crappie fisherman.
Whenever I talked to him, it was pouring rain like it was here. It was pouring rain. Craig's like he said, I'm sitting there looking out the window thinking, can I get out there and catch a few?
He's itching.
He told me he's not mad at him like he used to be. So what he's doing, he's now enjoying it. He's not trying to get them. He's enjoying it. And once you get that little laid back, so the term I use to you, I say bass fishing's easy. Once you can get that in your brain and stop making it so hard. Let's, we've talked about, colors and all this, that, and the other. Let's stop making it so hard. And once you start thinking it's easy, if you go make a sandwich, it's easy.
It's kind of like being married. You don't argue, you just agree.
Literally, it's
just,
like that.
Just agree and enjoy your damn
You got
sandwich.
thick walls.
Well, hey, I give Gabe an analogy the other night where we were talking about, the people that do, like we were saying, like the A, B, C, and D. You catch fish on a secondary point. And what I did is I challenged him, and I'll challenge everybody else, that you look at a map and find your creek channels. And then you say, this is my best spot. You're going to notice that it's associated. But I told him, I said, so you found a spot inside of a spot. That's usually where everybody's trying to go, the spot fisherman. Okay, I'm on the backside of this windy point. It's blowing across there. It's got a tree in it. It's got a creek channel. It's smashed up next to it. And I said, you can equip, it's like going into a men's room and there's like 6 toilet bowls and you got to, handle your paperwork. But there's one stall on the very end that's got walls up on it. The rest of them look like prison setup.
That you lay down on the point or
and you walk down and you open the door and nobody's in there and they got cottonelle on they got a TV you can watch and you walk in, shut the door, you feel like a king. But the other ones that get the job done, it just isn't as comfortable to do. So you're trying to find that spot inside of a spot that is the comfort zone.
Right.
And once you get it, then you can hone in. You always don't start too broad, but start a little broader than you normally would. Once you can get that down, then you can hone in saying, just what I told you, the professional fishermen that can go along a ledge and find this one spot in this 100-yard stretch that it indents 2.5, 3 foot in, and that's where they're fishing. And they're catching fish there. I don't know how they do it.
So if you ever hear me come up here to do a live stream and you ask me if I caught them, I said, dude, I found a stall with walls. You know exactly what I was doing.
Yeah.
It's a spot on the spot on the spot.
But that's what it is. And see, Jay Bethel had come on there. Stephanie, I cannot answer that. I didn't say it.
Chartreuse blackback.
Yeah, chartreuse blackback. In case he's watching. Love you, Craig. I forgot what I was going to say.
We were talking about. Oh, I know. I was going to ask you. So you got your A, B, C, D.
Mm-hmm.
Now, when you figure out, okay, they're on B. They're in location B. Your secondary points.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you can take that and duplicate it.
Exactly.
Different parts of the lake, right? So you can eliminate the other stuff and just go right to B for the most part.
80% of the fish.
Okay.
80% of your fish. And the thing is that you're not going to have to go, say you go in Sugar Bay, you're not going to go in Duncan Bay and fish it different. Where are you going to go? Where the creek channels are butting up next to it. So now you picked out 2 or 3 spots there. Then you're going to go to Vickers and, oh, wow, here's one. That
So you're specifically looking for channel swing secondaries once you figure that out for the most part. Okay. So as you come in those bays, if anybody that's been on Kentucky Lake, those bays are big. I mean, they're the size of the lakes that I fish around here. So they'll have, I don't know, let's just say they have 10 secondary points going from the main lake point all the way to the back. And you look on the map, okay, there's only 3 of these that have a channel swing bumping up against them. You're going to pass all the rest of them up and just go to those high percentage.
I may fish them just because there might be one stick sticking up on it, and I'm a bass fisherman.
It's got stall with a wall.
But I'm not going to spend a ton of time on it because yes, I'm catching 80% of the fish in those spots, but there may be one that's in the 20 that's on that one little stick up on the point that's not on it. So I may go over there and make a couple of casts to it and take it off.
So what are you using to find these fish? What are some of your confidence baits when you're searching and looking for fish?
Depending on the year, most of the time I go out, I'll have a crankbait rod, I'll have a shaky head, and I'll have a Carolina rig and a jig. I got 4 rods.
What kind of
He's a
rod?
shaky head.
What kind of rod for your shaky head?
Dobbins.
Spinning reel.
Absolutely.
Hey, I'll tell you right. I forget how I put it to him.
I catch a lot of hell on this channel because I didn't know.
Hey, You know what?
Not
You
a
call me
finesse guy.
sissy all you want, but whenever I'm sitting in the back of your boat and I'm throwing my little, they call them
Fairy
fairy wands or
Upside
head
down
beaters
Yeah.
for those big 6'7" guys out there. You're gonna have a guy pop up, and he's gonna pop it, and he's gonna say, "Yep," because I've shown him. I've been trying to teach him how to use, a spinner rod.
Yeah.
Why do I do it? I'm right-handed, and I just, in my mind, it's a mental thing. I feel like I got quicker reaction with my right than my left because I'm right-handed.
Really?
So as I'm
the
dragging it,
opposite.
but see, I know because
Yeah.
I do this. I'm backwards with the bait casters. See, his spinning rod is money.
There he is, boom. He's asking.
I nicknamed it Money. It's like, all right, Money, let's go to work. And I'll get up and go. I call it going to work. I'm putting him out there. But that's whenever I'm sitting there dragging this thing, I just feel like I got a quicker reaction with when I'm having to do it one hand. If I'm using a bait caster, I can crank down and I can grab the backbone and I can lay into them if I want
You
to.
set up over your head with the spinning rod too?
Probably 10-2.
Okay.
I'm not. It
But it's
depends on
different
where
than
I'm
your
at.
bait caster, right?
How do you feel whenever you're doing it left-handed and you cast it because you're trying to get it and you pull it left-handed, you go set the hook and you're like,
Yeah, you don't have any power.
No, I got no power. I may lose that fish. I can't. I've done it every time I go out. I will set myself
I go
up.
way out here.
Oh yeah, I will set myself up for failure like everybody else does. But I do. I use when I say I use a Dobbins rod. I like the 743. It's a heavy. I don't use a shaky head rod. Even before that, I used a Shimano, but I used like the Camaras.
Mhm.
I didn't use their shaky head because to me they were too noodly. I like to feel like I'm using a fairy wand, but I got this big, like the tooth fairy with a rock. I got this big mean fairy wand.
Well, that's what I was telling Gabe a while back. We were talking about it, getting on that whole deal there. The one that I have is it's a stiffer rod.
Drop shot.
But I can feel so much more. I know these guys are out there like, well, I got this really limber rod. It's like a noodle, and I can feel everything. I can feel 10 times more on that rod.
Think of where you're holding the rod. You're actually holding.
Oh yeah,
the blank, not the handle part.
right.
You're holding.
Yeah.
And you feel so much more with that thing. And I give Gabe crap all the time about the fairy wand and this and that.
Oh, I got
Trust
my
me,
finger
I use
on the
them.
blank.
Trust me, I use it too. Especially my favorite setup is a weightless trip worm.
Why?
Because you feel everything on there, and
He
it
loves
is
weightless. He likes to throw it out there and
Don't
just wait for it.
weightless.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's his go-to.
Yeah.
We talked about that last night. Oh, somebody talked about the difference in the
You were talking about
Excalibur.
action a while ago. You would get more action on that than you will Texas Ridge anything.
You just got to be patient, man.
Yeah.
You
Exactly.
got to be patient.
Yeah.
Somebody was talking about that buoy on Excalibur. They weigh the same. Is it? Why do they weigh the same? You already went over this.
Why do they weigh the same? Because they're made by the same plant.
Well, I guess also I was thinking one of them says that it's a
5/8
ounce,
and the other
but
says
it's the
it's a
hooks,
half
right?
ounce. It's a hook.
The hooks. So that was one of the differences. The hooks.
Hang on, what's the special release colors on the D-bumps? I missed that.
I have not seen that. Well, we'll have to get John Cruz on here. Call him.
I call him.
We'll I'll have to look into that.
I made a sad mistake down at Smith Lake. The boy up there, Ash Goja, he's one of my pro staffers, and they wanted me to come down and help them practice for an ABT tournament. So I went down there to help them. I hooked a big fish, and I don't know why I did it. I trust the drag on my spinning rod. Why I did it, I don't know. It was spinning, and I grabbed the spool just to try to move it because it was so big I couldn't hardly move it. And I grabbed the spool and I cried.
You're supposed to. What do they call that? Back reel them. You're supposed to back reel.
I
Or you
still couldn't do it.
You back reel. That's what
I'm
the
sorry.
Northerners do. Man.
I
go,
can't do it.
hey, I'm like a shark. I move forward. You ever seen a shark swim backward? No. They always move forward.
Yeah, I can't. I tried that back reeling thing, and I was getting my finger caught in the bail and everything else. I'm like, this is not working.
It's an acquired taste. Well, on a spinning rod, now correct me if I'm wrong, it's the same blank as a bait caster. Have you heard that? I was listening to somebody talk about that. People always make fun of the spinning rod. It's the same blank. It's the components that are different on it. So if you take a Bass Pro Shops binding blade, medium action 7-foot spinning rod, and a 7-foot medium baitcaster, the blank's the same, except the one's got different guides on it. Obviously, it's got different cork handle, different reel seat,
Okay.
stuff. But the blank, I'm pretty sure, guys out there, if I'm wrong,
I got a question for both of you. Since both of you are on the open face reels or whatever you want to call it. What length rod are you going with on
7.4.
7.4?
on a spinning rod.
7.2 to 7.4.
I always have a 7-foot, but I thought about going up to a 7-foot,
I like it for distance because a lot of times, you're throwing
some lighter.
a 3. I use the lightest weight possible, and I want to try to get some distance. I also, this time of year, shad wraps. A boy on one of the popular internet sites, he called my root beer shad wrap the Kentucky Lake Killer, because I've got a dozen pictures of fish over 6 pounds that's been caught on it. I throw it on a spinning rod. It's a balsa bait and it's light. But now, how do you take a shad wrap and make it suspend? Well, Van Dam's got a way that he drills it and adds weight to it. I use the short shank Mustad KVD Elite grip, Elite hooks, and it perfectly will balance that shad wrap number 7. And the thing is that it moves the fulcrum point, the center. It'll move that fulcrum point down lower. That causes the top of the bait to have more action. The lower you can get the weight, the more action the top of the bait has.
Okay, that makes sense.
I don't know, easy.
Oh, you looking up those D-bombs?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Let's see what I got here.
Yeah, D-bombs are important around this place.
It's not them.
So what is your?
That's it.
What is that? What color is that?
Called the
Awesome.
Wicked.
Well, throw that up on the screen.
Wicked
Can you go up on
Wicked
the screen?
Crawl. Yeah. All right.
This is new D-bomb color. $12.99 for 25 pack.
So
Why are you doing
let's
this?
see here. So if you guys want to see that crawl, that's the Wicked
Sorry, man.
Crawl.
I like that. It's got
So that is,
it's got a
man.
Okeechobee magic cross.
John Morris, are you still on here?
I just realized I'm like right in front of the camera.
Yeah, you're good. I'm to the side of it. So if John Morris is on here, he can back me up on this. This is the color combination I was asking for.
Okay. Well, now he's got something to go by.
Well, we've already got it.
You got Elvis's attention. Baits.
Yeah. So now I'm a little. That's not cool.
I like that.
Yeah, that's pretty nice. So what did he say? He said the Wicked Crawl and what was the other one? Aaron had it up here.
Wicked Gill.
Wicked Gill.
Wicked Gill.
So let's see the Wicked Gill. Here's the Wicked Gill.
Yeah, I see John. Mike's crawl colors are unbelievable. He's talking about going to the Instagram page and looking at all the different baits and stuff. I'm sure.
Gotcha.
It's a bag of 25 shadow bassin. Yeah, I saw that price, $12.99.
Yep. Don't talk to me anymore, Aaron. We can't be friends after this. Man,
So
man.
before Mike gets back, if you haven't hit that like, please hit a like to help support the channel. And if you guys are new to the channels, please encourage you to subscribe to help us grow. It really helps out the channel a whole bunch.
Yes.
And another reminder, we also do this every Monday night at 7:30 Central. We'll have a new guest next week. I don't know who that is yet. I don't really have anybody on the schedule, so we're kind of up in the air on that.
Yeah, we do.
Do we? Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
It's a routine guess.
Oh, okay. Okay.
It's supposed to be.
It's supposed to be. He's in the rotation now.
He's been in it.
Yeah,
Several times.
definitely. Well, I'll just have to reach out to him, touch base with him.
I'll reach out to somebody.
So what were we talking about? We were talking about patterning fish and what's the first bait you ever colored or ever painted?
Strike King made a green gizzard, which you You've seen it.
Mhm.
And I was using a 3XD. And on the 3XD, they only had the blue gizzard. And I had painted motorcycles. I had painted all kinds of stuff. I was like, you know what? I better paint that color. And I sat down and painted my own green gizzard. It didn't look nothing like it does now. You know what I'm saying? But I painted a green gizzard the first time out. I caught 3 3-pounders out of 4 calves. I was hooked
That's
at
pretty
that
solid.
color.
That's
I'm
a
gonna
solid
guess
color.
that's one of your personal buddies there at the bottom. Your Uncle Hooker.
After this is all over, Greg's gonna open up the fridge and he's gonna go, "Where's all my food, man?"
Well, there's a good one.
But you missed out earlier. We ate the rest of the brisket I smoked yesterday. So
Wow.
We had a question that we never really answered. I can't remember where that was at. It was,
The one that he's got on there, the Chopo versus a Whopper.
there you go.
Okay.
Tell us your opinion on that.
The Berkley Chopo is an advancement of the Whopper Plopper. The Whopper Plopper, everybody loved the bait because of the, vicious strikes and whatnot. What Berkley did is they had sat down, and they're they're the most engineered company you ever want to deal with. I learned that. But they took all the good things of the Whopper Plopper, and then some of the things that the pro staff guys, and you're talking some big name guys, they took what they wanted to see it do, and they implemented it. They got a difference. The Chopo has a louder decibel level, like a Chopo 90 has the same decibel level as a 110 Whopper Plopper. The tail isn't flexible. It is a hard tail, but it's got more of a deep cup to it. And the other thing is, whenever you make a cast with a Chopo and it lands, the minute you start cranking it, that tail starts spinning. I've had Whopper Ploppers where I had to snap them, get them to go. Or if they touch some grass or something, when you're trying to go slow and you want to go bloop, 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 you couldn't go slow because the tail couldn't get enough momentum to go. Where the Chopo, you can hold it and go and blow right down it and the tail will start spinning.
Mm-hmm.
It has been engineered to fit some of them. The other thing is, if you look, and it's nothing against a Whopper Plopper, it's a great bait. There's little things that I'd like to have been able to do that I couldn't do with it, like slow.
right.
I'm a fan of being able to reel it as fast as I want or as slow as I want. And the other thing is that the weights, if you look at the belly of the Whopper Plopper, they have the big heavy hook, and people go, "Oh, I like that hook." It's the hooks on there just to add weight. What I was saying about the shad wrap, it's to keep the body from rotating. Now the Chopo 90 will rotate some, but it doesn't necessarily do the full. As you're reeling it, you'll see the Whopper Ploppers, spin the body, and they try to correct that by adding a heavier belly weighted hook to keep that body, using the weight proportion. Where if you looked at the Berkleys, they have, if you hold up a blank one, which I've had blanks of both, and you hold it up and you got the hook hanger, Whopper Plopper in the front has one steel ball and one steel ball behind the hook hanger. You can hold up the Chopos and look at them. It's got 2 and 2. They weighted the bait accordingly. And you also don't get any submarining. When you throw it out, crank it, it doesn't submarine for a minute and then come out 4 foot down the way. It's like I said, it lands, start cranking it. If it's submarined, it's only for 6 inches. It the way it's designed. It is Berkley's entry into the spin prop, the tail spin prop category. Whopper Plopper didn't design, Larry Dahlberg didn't invent that. He perfected a way to be able to use it, but I've got an old Pose tail plopper. I've seen, you can start looking up tail plop and you will find them going back, like to the 40s. And they're just different shapes, but he designed the one to where it was the plopper, and then River to Sea took it on from there.
Head and tiny torpedo, shadow bassin. That's definitely a little prop bait.
Mm-hmm.
The killer in ponds.
What's the best spook? Zara.
Bone, Zara. I like the bone. The bone's a good one. You definitely want. What's your top 3 colors of spooks to have in the boat at all times?
Bone, black, and white.
There you go. Nailed it.
If I have a bone color, I have a color called Bone Ranger.
I've seen that pop
Yeah.
up there a couple times.
Yeah, Jay Buffa, because it helped
all
him
about
win.
it, huh?
It helped him win a big tournament. Uh,
Bone Ranger, that's another DJ blooper almost.
do what? Bone Ranger? No.
How'd you come up with a name for that?
Don't look up Bone Ranger, please. No. Because there is a good friend
That's
of
an
mine.
instant virus on your phone right there.
I'm telling you right now, it's Puerto Rican, and I'm saying it's Puerto Rican, and you're going to see some guy that was not. I designed it for a U.S. Army Ranger,
Okay.
and he wanted me to design a bone color, and I told him you got to have orange on this bait. Anytime you have bone with orange on it, you're going to catch more fish. It just does. I don't know what it is. It will catch more fish. This bait has a few things, that I use. It's got an interference color that turns the whole bait orange, but it's not. It's very subtle. And so I named it Bone Ranger after an Army Ranger,
Gotcha.
not the Puerto Rican sex god.
We'll go with that story.
Yeah.
We'll go with that. So this is a family.
Oh,
program.
Denny's already got it.
I like
So-
a silver, like a chrome sided spook too, like the Sexy Dog. They got that, the chrome. It's got a white belly, but it's chrome sides and I think a green back or something.
Well, see, he asked a question about what was the best, spook. Are you going to go with spook, or are we going to go Vixen?
Right.
Are we going to go Sexy Dog? Do you know they've got the Sexy Dog hard knock now? If you listen to Vixens predate the Repo Mans. They're same bait, but Vixen had it first. Repo Man, and then Vixen took it back when they did the line tie. You can hold them up. The line tie was sunk in 3 millimeter further on the original Vixens, or the original Vixens, the Repo Man, and then the newer Vixens. The line ties in, and guys felt like that changed a lot of the sound and whatnot. In my opinion, it's the knock. The Repo Man Vixens, they have a tack, 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 tack. It's got a knock to it, and in my opinion, it's just a solid boom.
They changed the thickness of the plastic or anything?
It's just they use a tungsten ball.
Okay.
There's a lot of, knockoff baits that sells things like that. They use a big steel ball. Yes, it has the same, it'll cast just as far, but it doesn't have that knock. Shower blows, same way. Knock, there's a tack, tack, tack. Now you've got the new hard knocks come out from Stream. They have a hard knock Sexy Dog. They've got a hard knock 1.5. A lot of guys they didn't go to Bass Pro Shops. So that was the only place that sold. Bass Pro got the exclusive for the rattling 1.5s.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of guys, you went to all the tackle stores, academies, or whatever, and you could never find a rattling one. Well, now they have the hard knock, and it does have a rattle. And they position, I worked with, showing this is the idea and why you do it. And it's got a good tack, 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 tack. It's got a rattle to it now, to where a lot of guys that there wasn't Bass Pros and they didn't want to order them online, wait for them to come in or whatever. Now there is available that hard knock. Well, you've got that on the Sexy Dog. The Sexy Dog, the action of the Sexy Dog is built around the action of the Vixen or the Repo Man. When the bait is jerked, the flatness of the front of it actually causes the bait to roll. And then it comes right, then it rolls. It's that when you stop it, it's that correct that it's doing while you're doing nothing, it's doing something.
Mm-hmm.
You've got your jerk bait.
It's like a secondary action, basically.
Exactly. Why do people love the mega bass? You can go look up videos and they don't ever mention it, but you watch when they jerk it, it's that second of whenever they stop jerking it, you gotta watch it real close. All of a sudden you'll see that bait do a little shimmy. It's them weights settling back down, then you jerk it, weight settle down. It's actually doing a shimmy that you don't get out of a lot of them.
Mm-hmm.
It's these little things that you pick up on. That's why they're better because of this. Well, you had reproductions of the mega bass, and there's dozens of them on the market. There's knockoffs that are being sold and whatnot. And the action isn't quite the same. And they go, I don't know why. If you look at the face on a mega bass, the gill plate, they're wedged. Money. They're
Let's
wedged.
keep going.
Well, they're wedged and it's flat on a mega bass. But if you look at some of the other ones that use the mega bass as their platform to design a jerkbait that looks like it,
Let's say Lucky Strike. That's a common one.
Yes.
Common mega bass.
Lucky
knockoff.
Strike, what is it, the STX?
If
you
you
look at
RC sticks.
RC sticks, what I call the shape of the gill is actually a little rounded.
Mhm.
Well, think about when it cuts. As it's cut, it's got this flat surface that's pushing it. Hydrodynamics, your word for the day. Hydrodynamics.
We need a chalkboard. We could write.
I almost brought a big whiteboard because I
I
draw
got
a
one
lot.
over there somewhere.
I draw a lot of pictures. Because there was another question that was asked a minute ago that I want to answer. But the hydrodynamics of having that flat causes it to cut and roll differently. So you see them being twitched, and you might see them having different actions than other baits like it. And that's because of the hydrodynamics of it.
There is undoubtedly a difference, and we've talked about this before, between the mega bass and the Lucky Strike. Besides the price,
And I'm gonna tell you
there's
this.
several days I've had them. Well, like my buddy in the back of the boat had the mega bass, and I had the RC sticks, and he was catching some fish, same color, pearl blue. And I was like, man, throw that up here and jerk that a couple times and let me look at it. He did that a couple times, and then I threw my RC sticks in there and jerked in there kind of side by side when we were looking at it. And it's got a little, it's like you said, it's
When
different.
they-
You don't notice it unless you really see them side by side.
Exactly.
But
And see, that's the little goofy things that I pay attention to. I pay attention because I just watched a video the other day of a Strike King versus a mega bass. And I was watching how they jumped and bounced around. It's noticing this little with this mega bass. And that was, the action to me was different, but I didn't see where one outweighed the other. I mean, I know there's a bunch of fish being caught on 300, J300s right now on Strike King. And the thing is that it had this one thing was that little shimmy. Same thing with a red-eye shad. Red-eye shad does that too. The shimmy that a red-eye shad has, whenever you twitch it, it's got a little bit of a shimmy of that weight. And that you can't build that. It has to be something that I guess you can be lucked upon it. You can build it, but you have to really pay attention to it. But you're rattling, all of a sudden you stop, and as it's falling, it's got this little, it's vibrating as it goes down. It just falls into that category. One question that was asked a little bit ago. No, I know it. When you're using your crankbaits, all right, say a 1.5, a deep diver, you take in the line size is a big question. What line size do you use, say, on a 1.5? What is your go-to line?
Typically, if I'm fishing grass mainly, I'm gonna go with 12 pound. If I'm fishing heavier cover,
What if you walk down to the pond?
12 pound, 20 on the extreme, 15. So most of the time, 12 pound.
Okay.
It gets a little bit deeper, and I still feel safe with 12 pound
I
test.
agree with that.
This was taught to me, and I didn't know why. You're going to get the maximum depth out. Say you're fishing structure, you're fishing a ledge. Guys are using 12-pound test. Okay. 10-pound test, 0.011 line on your diameter, which is the equivalent to a 20-pound braid, which David Fritz uses. Now, I learned this from David. Will allow the bait it will give it all the action that bait was designed for, the depth that you're going to achieve with it, and everything. Now, why is it that I'm not going to get as deep with 12-pound test as I would with 10-pound test? People are going to go, what's the diameter of the line? When the bait is swinging back and forth, it's tied to your bill and it's swinging back and forth. The line is cutting the water. Okay? You got 12-pound test, that bait isn't allowed to swing as far, as quick. It's going whoop, and it's catching up to itself. So the line cutting the water being thicker causes it to slow down. So you lose 6 inches.
It's got more drag, basically.
It's got drag. That your line creates drag, but it's people think that it's just the line in general, but they don't know exactly what it is. It's the line, it's the drag that is causing as the bait's trying to perform its action. Now, if you go to a 14-pound test compared to 10-pound test on the exact same bait, you're going to lose 1.5 feet because of the drag. The bait's not allowed to do what it's built to do. So you go to 20-pound test, it's even this little bait is having to drag this rope back and forth to do its action. So you're not getting everything you can get out of it. Now, with that said, is the action that you're getting, is the juice worth the squeeze? I'm throwing a square bill right next to the grass and I'm wanting to hit it every now and again or rip it out. I can go to a braid. If I'm throwing around grass, I can go to a braid, a 20-pound braid, which is real thin, and I can use that. I am a mono guy versus a floral guy on my crankbaits because I believe that all the rods that are made nowadays the main thing that they're working on is sensitivity. The sensitivity of the rod, I think that personally we're jerking it away from them too fast. We're using too heavy of an action rod, a fast action, and we're ripping it away from, or we're ripping it out. My buddy, he loves a broom handle. He loves it. I'm like, you're pulling through skin. It can only pull so far, you know? And so, but you start thinking about that line size when you're going to like a crab orchard, got that muck on the bottom, and you may want to throw a bait that doesn't go quite as deep. Well, you're going to lose a foot for every line size you go up. Well, now all of a sudden you get a 20-pound test, you're only diving a couple feet deep. So you can use that to your benefit for fishing shallower water using this bait. You see what I'm saying? You can use it. You're going to lose a little action or a lot of action at times. You're going to lose a little action, but you can use a bait and adjust your depth. So these guys that are throwing a KVD 1.5, they're like, I can only get it to go 3 foot deep. I go, what pound test you throwing? 14. Okay. Put it on 10-pound test. If you're using a good quality line.
Right. And 10-pound test is plenty strong.
It's plenty. I got some I can tie my boat up to. And if I'm using a mono, I'll be honest with you, the Berkley big game line, that's you buy like 14,000 yards for like $3.
I've said that several times.
Dude, I can tie my boat off to a dock in a windstorm. But I mean, if you're using good quality line, then you don't have to worry about that 10-pound test breaking if you're constantly checking your line like we're supposed to do.
Right. So graphite has come such a long way that we're filling the bite a lot quicker and the reaction time is a lot faster. So we're pulling the bait away. But if you do go to braid, probably need to drop down a little bit softer action.
Or throw your good quality lose reel, because I love the drag on the lose reels. Make sure your drag works. Grab it, pull it. Make sure it works.
Don't hold on to your spool.
Like I did, and that's what he was laughing about. No, don't crank the star down all the way. You know, your star drag, don't lock it down. You're buying equipment. It's like saying, okay, I'm gonna go out and drive my car, but I'm gonna pull the emergency brake and drive with it.
Yeah,
just to make sure it works.
It's not. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I when you mash the brakes, you don't either mash it all the way to the floor or nothing. So you're buying this equipment. Most of the time, we're spending good money, and that's you use equipment like it's supposed to be used.
Yeah.
Right. The thing that always kind of tears me away from braid, I throw braid, obviously punching and frog, and sometimes if I'm fishing real heavy grass with a swim jig or a trap, that braid just slices that grass a lot better. But with a crankbait, I'm always thinking about when you get hung up, you don't have that stretch to pop that thing off. So you definitely want to invest in a lure knocker, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, what's Fritz say about that?
Lewis has a lure knocker in it, and it was designed off of, and what it is, the way the design is, as you slide it down your line, when it hits bottom, it kicks up and it pulls it loose.
Okay.
Now, he uses 20-pound test a lot because he'll tell you, I'm tired of retying. I mean, it's just, he's like, I'm tired of retying. But one thing you think about, David can make a 70-yard cast. I can't. I tried.
That's a long cast.
Mhm.
He can make a 70-yard cast.
Impressive.
And when he's using braid, how many times have you thrown it out with just regular rod, just throw it out and it hits the water and you go to crank up your slack and your line and you're trying to set the hook. If you go 70 yards away and you're throwing fluorocarbon or braid, I can sit there and hold your hook and let you set the hook and you can't pull it
Yeah,
out of
you
my
got-
hand.
Right.
There's even that little bit of stretch, you can't pull that hook out of my hand, but with braid, you're ripping it out of my hand. So he's catching a lot of them long distance fish. There's a lot of YouTube videos that he puts out that shows that.
Yeah, and
You want to hold my hook? See if I can do it.
no, that makes me nervous.
We'll use trebles just to make sure you got a good grip.
Glass rods or composite rods for crankbaits?
And this is that's a Ford Chevy thing. Glass rods, I can't tell how big the fish is. I mean, I'm just being, the parabolic bend of the rod, I cannot tell whether I've got a 2.5 or a 6.5. It's bent the same. I look at my rod because I know from using them, you know, I can usually tell this is a good fish. I can feel it. With that glass rod, it's bending and just kind of keep going. I like a composite blend.
Okay.
I like one that I like the glass, but I like it mainly for your casting. When you go to cast and you're throwing it like that, that rod's bent back. And it's that snap at the end that launches your rod or launches your bait. But I'm more of a composite. You know, I like a graphite rod.
Yeah, I use straight graphite for cranking. Just a little bit lighter, a little bit more sensitive. Tin Horse Monty represent. Let's we're getting close to 2 hours. We're gonna have to do this again. Maybe
Yes,
from Kentucky, Missouri, but we could be on here for 6 hours because we just kind of skimmed the surface. But let's talk about that giveaway.
Okay.
Let's dive into that a little bit, and then on the backside of that, we can.
Well, here, I'll
talk
just
a little bit more.
hang on. I'll just grab it.
No, that's the wrong.
It's all this right here. I mean, compliment to Tin Horse Monty.
But that is actually that ties into the giveaway here in a second. We'll get into that. Best crank and reel in your opinion?
Little BB1.
Yeah, the BB one's hard to beat. The BB2, is that the one with the wider spool? They make one with a wider spool version.
BB2.
Yeah, the BB2. So that's a great one for your 5X, 6X, 10X, something with a really wide spool. So you can get that out there. Ooh, yes. Okay. What we got on the back side of this business?
Oh, we got wait, hang on. Here's the giveaway. We won.
Yeah. This is the first time we're seeing these.
No, you can show them. Yeah.
Okay, let's look at this. So before I show these people, this is part of the giveaway, right?
Yes.
Okay. I don't want to tease them and then take it away. But I can't stand up. I want to keep wanting to stand up. I'm gonna stand right here. Okay. All right, guys. These are custom painted by this guy right here because that's what he does. We got some crawl patterns. These are sick.
Peanut butter and jelly.
Peanut butter and jelly. That's right. Look at that. Get you some of that. Why don't you show these off? You know how to make them
Flash and everything
flash
else.
and wiggle. Am I doing? Okay, you just tell me. Am I doing?
They're
it?
pretty.
Yeah,
Look,
okay.
I'm looking at it. It's pretty as all
Okay,
get
looks
out.
good to me, man. I'm just.
Here's all the same ones, right?
I get accused of sometimes people ask me if I have a machine that paints them because if you hold the next one up, it looks exactly like the first one I did. It's not. All of them are hand done. I do each individual one at a time.
Yeah,
I can
that's
tell.
amazing.
There's very, very, very little difference, but you can see it though.
It's
awesome.
because of me designing.
Yeah.
Whenever I design, and I can give you that I am working on some new jerkbait colors that are going to be coming out.
So these are two different. So this is like a 2.5, and that was like a 1.5. Okay, so I'll show you the 2.5. I'll tell you what we'll do. Is he's got 4 baits here, and we're gonna bust this up into 2 giveaways.
Oh no, I got more.
Oh, you got more?
Oh yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, let this man talk then. Okay, so here we go. This is peanut butter and jelly as well, right?
Yes.
Okay. So same bait color, but this is the 2.5. So I showed you the 1.5 earlier, 2.5. And one thing you'll notice about these,
That's my number one. So
yeah, look at that belly, man. Super good detail.
Some of these colors, you turn them sideways in the light at like a 15 to 20 degree angle, and you start seeing stuff that you didn't know was there. Same thing with the backs on a lot of these. It's there's a lot going on in these baits. They're not just black and chartreuse, right?
They are freaking hard.
They're pretty nice. He's exceeding my expectations, hands down. And I'll get to the questions here in a minute. I'm gonna do like a little. It's not really even a trivia question. It's just gonna be a straight up question. Oh yeah. So this is a 6XD, right?
These are silent bass guy.
No, that's a 5X.
A 5X. Okay.
Oh, that's not part of the giveaway.
Let's give this one to me.
Wait a minute.
Is that camera focusing?
Hold it like I'm showing you with the bill.
Because I just seen that purple come through. That's
There you go. Look at that tail. See how that tail section starts getting that color? Yeah, that's.
I'm glad the camera's picking that up good too.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's
This
awesome.
you got the. It's nice. So what's this called? What color is this?
Shifty shade.
Shifty shad. Okay, shifty shad. There you go. I'm digging that.
I got pictures of Kevin Van Dam holding that color. And then here's.
Jay said his name is Mike. Did he win?
So we got another 2.5, and this color is what's this color called?
Now wait a minute.
That's brown gourd.
Jay was
Brown
talking about
gourd.
his Milford colors here.
What did you do with that purple and red? That's one you want to show them. That make sure they know it's yours.
It's good stuff. What'd you say? Green, brown gourd?
Brown gourd.
Brown
I have
gourd.
a green gourd, which is real popular, and people can go to my Instagram page and see a bunch of these colors. Yeah.
Yep. And I have it. Everything's linked down. His website's on there and his Instagram or Facebook and Instagram. Yeah, it's all linked down in the description below. So the purple one. Here, your
Now, these aren't
your
part of the
model.
giveaway, though.
No, this is
But
not
you-
part of the giveaway.
But we're talking about you can see this stuff kind of start popping out when I turn this. So you're look on the back there. You can see that start to show up.
Put your hand right behind it.
Let's see.
You're backwards.
That ain't gonna work. Why don't you do it? Here, you do it. I'm not a
So-
hand model, man. I'm not a hand model.
So you see the top there. Get to that blue color there.
There you go.
But if you turn just a little bit here, we'll go down the sides. And you get that real nice purple look in there. Comes down with it. So bottom side of the bait there.
That's the reveal.
Yep.
You think it's this, but bam, it's not. It's something else.
Yep.
And all of it has to do with, making things look like they're in motion, sitting still.
Yeah, it's phenomenal. I can't believe the difference in colors. You can kind of see that one there. That's that real green back, but you start turning a little bit farther, it gets that real dark. It's actually a little bit easier to look this way, but
And then show the sides on that, how those,
There, it lit them up.
yeah, see how they,
yeah, right there.
yeah, right in there. You can see that kind of start
Yep.
changing right there. That's
You
pretty
start
cool, man.
going back and forth.
That's the secret sauce right there.
Whenever they look at your video with Mark Menendez, he talks about the pulse of the bait.
Yes.
Pulse.
That is what you're seeing with a lot of those colors. It's
That's
the
the
pulse of the bait.
That's the difference in a lot of the run-of-the-mill custom painted baits and something that he does is those little subtle things, the pulses that we're talking about. So let's break these into 2 giveaways. Okay, we're gonna this is a heck of a giveaway. 2 heck of a giveaways. Let's try to let's bust these out here.
Oh, I got enough for 3.
You got enough for 3?
Yeah.
You guys want 2 giveaways or you want 3?
I got some blue glimmer we can throw in there.
Oh, now we're getting there.
I got more of the browns.
Now Jay is out of this though, right?
Jay already has all these. He doesn't-
Yeah, Jay. Okay, so Joe's not in there.
There's more.
So we
Okay.
got a vote for 3. We got a vote for 6. We got a vote for 3. Okay, it looks like 3, man. We're gonna do 3. This is cool. So we're gonna have to come up with a 3rd question because I only came up with 2.
Oh, I got one.
So is this part of the 2?
I got a
I
question.
brought them
I
all
don't
for you
think I
guys
can give this
to do.
I don't think I can give. Look at this.
Hey, wait a minute. No. Put that back down. That doesn't go in there.
Look at that. That is awesome. That looks like something out of Star Wars.
I gotta get back over here. I didn't see all these yet.
Yeah, that's sexy. I like that.
These are all factory Strike King baits.
That's 3/4.
Sorry, we kind of lost our focus here.
Yeah.
We're geeking out on all this stuff.
Bass guy, everyone gets a bait.
There we go. Yeah.
J. Beppa
Buying
started-
everybody around. Hey, I tell you what, if it didn't cost so much to ship, I would consider that for sure.
Number one seller on Kentucky Lake, Seth. It depends on when you're fishing. I talked earlier about the Shad Rap and brew beer for it being as up until it's like 52 degrees. That's one of them.
Like that.
Ooh, Brian, you get to ask the question that I knew was coming. How long does it take to paint one? It depends on the pattern. If you look at my crawdad patterns, there is a bunch of freehand on it. It isn't just stencil,
And
and go to work. It's freehand. You look, whenever he shows one of them, it's freehanded. There is some stencil work to get your line pattern, but anything other than that.
They're phenomenal.
I
Phenomenal
have
baits.
spent as long on a wiggle wart up to 2.5 hours to paint one bait. And that one bait costs him the same amount as one that would take me a half hour to paint.
I'm ready to go here.
Oh, you're fine.
I don't think you want to see my big mud right up close. So
do you have a favorite scheme that you like? Do you like the crawls versus the shads, or?
I am known for my crawls. I'm known pretty much from coast to coast for my crawdads. I'm known for my, the wiggle warts. I paint so many wiggle warts, and I get wiggle warts sent to me that they're like, I had this custom painted, but I shouldn't have done that. I should have had you do them. And so and the majority of that has to do with the detail that I do put in them. Now, there is a reason why I put the detail in them, guys. I don't do anything haphazardly. I was going to show up pictures.
yeah. So I'll let you move over there. And guys, just so you know, I did put that up there for you.
There you go.
That's his website and everything to go to if you guys want to do any order or anything like that. So
I don't do anything haphazardly. There's a reason why everything's colored the way it is. I don't paint baits to catch fishermen. I have a few that I do paint that isn't necessarily there's no rhyme or reason for it. Go to the Instagram page.
Instagram?
Yeah, that'll be a lot easier.
I'll be right back.
But a lot of guys entrust me with their, with the very first check that I ever cashed was on a wiggle wart. And I have sort of a special, I have a special relationship to that bait because it is special to me.
Which one do you go to?
Okay, do you see the baits on right there at the top of the screen on the left? Those were used in the Toyota tournament. That was actually, you guys can let me know what you would think. I'm actually working with Strike King to change their crawdad patterns from what they are, because again, they're an illustrative color. And if you look at mine, I'm more naturalistic. And right now there's already a crawl pattern. I just got to start applying the colors to them, and I got to do them in a way that they can be reproduced in production. That's why I do what I do, because I can do it in a way that they can be reproduced. I'm going to be changing all of what you see, but I'll still be using the same color types. One of my most popular sellers is the one right there in the middle of the screen.
This one?
Yep, that's Shocker. And just about every pro that you've seen they absolutely love that color. It's got a holographic finish. You'll notice on the bottom bait, right near the belly of it, you'll notice a holographic color.
I can see it right here, yeah.
Now, what I want to give you is this one little thing. Have you ever caught a shad?
Oh, yeah.
You ever notice how oily they are?
Oh yeah.
Have you ever seen what color oil is on water?
Yeah, it's like a
Rainbow.
purplish rainbow looking. Yeah, I can see it.
All
right
I
here,
did
yeah.
was emphasize. I didn't do that just so the guys, so everybody would see it and go, oh, they did that to catch a fisherman. No, what I did is I used that and I emphasized it a little more because
Matching the hatch.
a bass can see, this is from Mark Menendez, a bass can see, and he said this in your last, for every 1 foot, they can see 5. Okay, so I emphasized that oil effect that's on a shad on that bait, and I just I brought it a little more to life. And that thing has been catching fish all over the place.
Yeah, I mean, it's phenomenal looking.
I also do one of the right below that.
This one?
Show the one to the right. That was sent to me. That was an original Bagley's bait. In fact, it was for Jay Beffa. That was an original Bagley's bait. It was repaired with balsa. I didn't just fill it in with glue. I actually repaired that. I have a technique that I use to repair the balsa baits. Now, it does take a little more time. If you go back to the picture that's right next to that, you can't tell which one of those were the repaired ones and which one was the new one. So, and the whole thing, you may see that color on a store shelf for long too. If you notice what color it is, chartreuse black back. Do you notice anything different about it, Gabe?
It looks like it has a heart.
Yep, he's following it right there. You see something? Okay, don't say what it is, but yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The biggest thing is that you try. I believe in Grandpa's way of doing things. And yes, Bass Guy, that's what I was going after, the G finish. In fact, that color used to be, whenever I did it all the way, was called G Spot.
We'll just leave it at that.
No, because it had the kill spot on the side, and somebody goes, "What do you want to name it?"
DJ
Right as
still
I
on
was
there?
painting it, and I said, and I was going after that holographic, like the old G finish.
That's number 3, I think.
The bloopers of the evening. So let's ask this first question.
Wait, he wants Jace wants to show. There's some colors on there that I've got the real crawdad, and I've got the.
Is it up here?
Keep going up. No, go down. Keep going. There it is. Top right hand corner.
This one?
Yeah. That was a crawdad in the bottom right corner, was give to me from somebody, and they wanted to match it. And that's the matching that I did
It's
to it.
Pretty damn close.
pretty good, yeah.
Okay, if you go, there's one more right close to that one.
This one?
Yep. That is, I can tell you right now, just about every lake that you guys, that most people fish, that crawdad's in it.
Yeah.
And so what I did is the crawdad being at the bottom, I matched it on an original wigglewort. I matched it on the top.
That's that magic swirl. It's got that little bit of blue on the legs or whatever.
Yep.
That's why
That's why the
color's so
magic
popular.
swirls like it is. Yes.
Uh-huh. That's really cool.
And then
Throw one of them those swim baits up too. That, like, if you go back out.
right,
Yeah, I like this one, man.
Yeah.
God, that's impressive.
for you Missouri guys, that was
Oh,
for
gold shiner.
Denny Dennis.
Oh,
Okay.
That was for the store because somebody asked me to, where they can be found. Denny Dennis has them. They stock some of my baits. In fact, they're probably about due to get stocked back up. And Seth, to answer your question, yes, I do every kind of thing. The only thing that I really can't do, and I can do it, but I'll be honest with you, I don't want to have to charge what it would cost as a chrome finish, unless it's a bait that I happen to have, like a Strike King, because I've got about every color or every shape of Strike King bait made. I have the blanks from the factory. I've got just about all of the Berkley still in stock. So there's a matter of, if you call me, you give me a color or whatever. I can help you get what you're going to use, and I'll help you dial it in. There's probably guys that are just watching this that they only throw a bait. You know, they'll call me before a tournament and ask me.
Look at that.
That's peanut butter and jelly. Now, I can tell you, wiggle wart guys, Dennis has them, and that is on a live target crawl.
Yeah. Wow.
And they've got some of them in stock. Bass guy, no, I don't have anything. We've talked to a few, but some people don't understand until they see the baits in hand. Like these guys just got to see my baits in hand. And you can look at them pictures of that peanut butter and jelly right there, and you go, ooh, that's a good looking bait. But yet, whenever you pick up that thing in hand and you just showed it in front of the camera, how much it looks different.
Yeah, it's a lot different, yeah. Especially when you see the different angles at it and everything else, yeah.
Now, I can tell you some of the colors, what I do that I'm helping out my clientele.
Did you paint that one too?
No, look underneath it.
That looks just like a peacock. You did a good job on that one.
Look underneath it.
Okay.
No, underneath the.
Oh, this one?
That was for a wedding gift.
Holy cow.
That was a wedding gift that they wanted it was a fishing and peacock. That
pretty
was
cool.
And so they wanted, I actually made that 3D hook or that hook that's on there because that's a 24-inch bait. I made those hooks on a 3D printer.
That's pretty awesome.
The next one down below on the left-hand side, the orange ones, that is a 6th Sense color. And I give, Casey all the props. He's a good designer for his colors. One of those is an original.
That's cool. That's a killer color.
One's an original, and yeah, you picked out the one because it's right there in front.
Uh-huh.
But if I went no, then you couldn't tell me which one it is. But that was a customer asking me to copy. I don't, I give props where props are due. That was a color that 6th Sense came out with that a client asked me to reproduce it because they no longer make it.
You put these two together right here, you would never be able to tell the difference.
Mm-mm.
This one, the only reason it sticks out is because you got that top turned this way just a little bit.
Yeah.
It makes it a little bit darker than the rest of them, but if you turn them like this one's turned more, they look identical.
That's a great picture.
But see, and the reason why that's a good picture is because I get asked, I get asked so many times, can you paint this? Can you paint that? Well, I mean, I emulated somebody else's pattern, but I did it, I give, I'm giving the boy credit, he did a really good job. But there's a whole lot you can go on the Instagram. I don't update the Facebook quite as much as I do the Instagram because it's a lot quicker. I can just go picture there and we're good. What color would you repair a bull shad if it was for you?
So
what color would I paint it?
I'm thinking, what color would you paint it?
Shocker.
I'm
telling you, that color, especially with a bull shad, has those. The way Mike Buca makes them, it's got like scales made into it, molded into it, and when you rotate that, I got pictures of bull shads on here.
Yeah, I see them up here at the top.
Do you have one that's in the shocker color you're talking about?
Bone Ranger is just down. No, that's not a bull shad.
Seen it earlier. Is it down?
Bone Ranger's on the left.
Keep on going up.
No, keep going down. There's a bull shad.
That'd be a good color to start with.
Gizzard shed.
I like that.
My Blue Glimmer is probably one over $300,000 on Kentucky Lake and surrounding. My Green Gizzard has won, so much money. That's what I kind of got, known for. Yes, that is a Grinch. Hey, check out the one next to the Grinch. See the Christmas lights?
Yeah.
Dang.
But now check this out. Look at the black lines. It's a crawdad.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Those went to one of the owners of Walmart.
That's pretty awesome.
So all the Christmas ones that you see went to one of the winners.
All right. First question for giveaway number 1. How many jerk baits do I have in this box? How many jerk baits do I have in this box?
Do I get to guess?
This is a Plano 3700 size. How many jerk baits? We counted these up. We counted these on the ride up here. So we got it down to the individual jerk baits. There we go.
58.
Huh?
I'll say 58.
And you're gonna get choice. Whoever wins the first one, I'm just gonna give you a 1, 2, or 3. You tell me. I got them laid out here. 1, 2, and 3. And you will be happy as a bee with any of those. 100%.
What's the number so I can watch the comments here?
I'm watching right now. It's right here. There. So what are you doing? You fishing any tournaments this year?
Yes.
What's your
The
2021
Illini. I'm
schedule?
going to be fishing the Illini this year.
Okay.
I'm going to give it everything I can because I've been fishing. I've been helping fish. Look at Ash. Can I vote twice?
We got a winner.
No.
We got a winner. Here's the answer.
So, yep.
We got a winner. We got a winner. And the winner is
I'll put it up there.
boom. Rich. My man. Yep. Okay. So there we go. So now the question is, do you want
One, two.
lot 1, lot 2, or lot 3? Mr. Hellabass. And then we'll go on to the next one. You got to come up with the third question. So I'll start
Oh,
thinking
I
about
got
questions.
one.
You got one?
I got a couple. But
Okay. So let's go on to the second question. He can figure out which one he wants. I got a similar question.
Ooh, that's a
How many jigs do I have in this box? This is a 3,700 deep. And you can tell it's thick. There's all kinds of skirts in there. Blooper
He's
number
taking
5. Taking 3. Okay, gotcha.
All right, so this is Hellabass.
That was a good one. They're all good. So you're fishing the Illini division,
Yeah.
right? Which is Shelbyville, Ren.
Wren Lake, Shelbyville twice, and the Ohio River.
No, Ohio River. And you got experience on
Yes.
all 3 of those?
Yes, I'm good.
Is there one you're looking forward to or one you're
Ohio
ready?
River.
Ohio River. Okay.
I'm really looking to fish on the Ohio River.
I'm going back to Smithland Pool this year.
Well, you need to talk to me, maybe.
Isn't that it?
Is that it? That was it. There, we got a winner. We got a winner.
Where'd it go?
Right. There
Hang
we
on.
go. Click on
There it is.
Stephanie. Yes.
Awesome.
You're going to be very happy with these baits.
Congrats. Now you've got to pick one or two.
You're going to be kicking your boyfriend's butt out of the back of the boat.
Yeah, no
This
kidding.
stuff,
Don't
man.
even tell him
Never
you
seen-
won.
Never seen anything like that. So before we go on to the third one, guys need to hit me or Greg up on Facebook or Instagram and just leave a message, and we will get your address and all that, and we'll ship these out to you. So that's that's Stephanie's, that's Rich's.
Okay.
This will be the third one.
Hang on. Before we get any farther here.
Yeah, we're gonna tag these so we don't get them mixed up. So just to repeat, hit us up on Facebook or Instagram. We'll get your address and we'll get these out. I work for the Postal Service, so I guess I will be the one that will be boxing these suckers up and shipping them to the proper address.
All right. Stephanie's. Okay. All right.
All right, third one. Let's see,
Okay, I got a simple question to see those that have been here the whole time. Now, some of you guys, I'm gonna look at you and go, no, you don't count. Tom, if you paid attention, you got a shot at this one. Number one, somebody asked what kind of airbrush I use. I'm an Iwata guy. I love Iwatas. So, Jay's already answering. What was the first color that I painted for myself, and who made it? And what side or what kind of bait was it?
So bait and color,
Bait and color.
first paint.
And I can tell you, those that were watching, you know, they know that I caught 3 3-pounders on it and 4 casts. I know you know, Bob. Steve, love you, brother, but no.
Good guess though.
Cheeseburger.
Ooh.
That's a low blow. You punched in the ribs on that one.
Oh man.
Okay.
About to spit my eyes out.
Okay, I'm just gonna say this much. Remember, it's a color and bait.
2 answers here. We're looking for 2 answers. 2-part question.
John.
He does have tungsten too, right? You sell tungsten?
Yes, I do sell tungsten. Come on, you guys that didn't answer just quite correctly.
You guys are some people all around it. And if you don't answer it within the next 10 seconds, I get lot number 1.
Hold on a second. Hold on. Green Gizzard 3XD.
There.
Was there one something? Did anybody answer just ahead of that?
Scroll it just a little bit. Close.
No, not a flat side, because I did say flat side record.
bad.
Seth Tucker. We got Green Gizzards, but whoever the first one was.
He
said 3X.
That's
But
close. 3XD.
So which one?
We gotta give it to the first one, the 3X. I'll give or
We
the
can't let
3X. Well, 3XD. If he already won one,
Yeah, 1 prize. Are we doing 1 prize per person?
I say so.
I'll tell
I'll
you
save
what.
money on shipping.
Well, I'll tell you what. Since he did answer, but he didn't give the complete answer, we'll add one more bait to his pile.
There you go. And give
Okay.
the rest. And give
Okay.
the one.
That
to
way it's
Seth.
fair for
Okay,
everybody.
You're gonna get a bonus bait, Rich, and Seth is gonna get lot number 1. I think that's fair.
All right.
They're his baits, so I gotta do what he says.
And like I said, make sure you guys hit us up on Instagram or Facebook, one or the other, so we can get your shipping information and all that stuff.
Yeah, and you guys are. I tell you what. Well, I'll be honest. I will ship them all. It's gonna be hard, but it's a lot of responsibility for me to take these
Well,
and.
there's extras.
Yeah.
I'm leaving
No, I'll
the
get them
extras.
out. Yeah, get a hold of us and we'll get those out. I'll probably get them out. They'll be in the mail. Let's just say they'll be in the mail within the next couple of days.
So you'll get them in like November.
No, I know. I don't know. It's bad, man. I don't know what's going on with the postal service. But
I don't know.
like I said, I'm just the messenger, okay?
I had paint shipped to me from California, and it took 6 weeks for it to get to me. It sat down
Was it
in
Postal
Alabama.
Service or UPS?
Postal service.
Oh, well, that's a problem.
I know. It's bad. We're working on it. That's all I can say.
Well, I'm gonna tell you this much. I ship out the majority of my stuff priority mail because I didn't lose. Somebody lost a package, and it had $475 worth of baits in it.
Dang.
Now, me upstanding, I repainted the guy's whole order and I shipped it to him. And, it's just, I don't get too many sent back to me. I've had one guy step on a bait and break it in half and send it to me. And he'd only bought one bait. He was a young kid. I repainted him another one and sent it to him. I stand behind everything I do. And the best thing about it is I am painting, like you guys are all getting Strike King baits. If there's a problem with it, I work with research and development. That actually helps me out. That I can go straight to them and say, hey, there's a problem with this.
Mhm.
And I replace the bait if it's something that's faulty. I don't want to get into it a whole lot, but the clear coat I use is designed for NHL hockey mask. If it can take a hockey puck at 100 mile an hour, it can handle a few rocks
Or docks.
or docks.
Right.
So
Tell you my teeth won't.
Well, good deal. All right, guys. We've been on here for almost 2.5 hours. It's been an awesome stream. We're definitely gonna get him back on at a later date because
We'll go over
We
a
got a
little
lot
more
more
stories,
stories.
schemes, and everything.
Yeah,
else,
we
and I
got
think it'll be
we can
a
get
little more in
into it.
depth.
yeah, and I can bring some more baits to give away as prizes for
Yeah.
those that pay attention.
There you
It's a
go.
win-win situation. But like I said earlier, if you're new on the channel, please consider subscribing to us. Hit that thumbs up. That really helps us grow. It tells YouTube that we're getting some interaction between us and you, and we're all one big happy family that way. So we definitely would appreciate that. And everybody that's still on here, thanks for hanging out with us.
Hellabass says he's a bait junkie. I bet I got more than you got.
He is a bait
In my shop right now, I probably have 15,000.
He's had Kevin Baxter on, and he's been on the Bait Man show. So yeah, but I bet you do too. I got
more than Kevin.
Yeah,
I got more than Kevin.
he who paints has the most.
Yeah, well, especially whenever the fact that I've got factory stock of these.
Mike,
I buy them.
Don't worry, you'll be on next week.
Yeah, go back and watch the
Miss-
playback, Mike. There's a
Yeah.
lot of good stuff that happened tonight. I cut you off. I'm sorry.
No, you're fine.
Okay. So, all right, guys, we're gonna wrap this up. Like Greg said, all the information for Back Five Baits is gonna be in the description box, and go check out his stuff. It's unbelievable. You guys that won tonight, congratulations. And like I said earlier, I'll get that shipped out to you as soon as possible. And 7:30 next Monday, we'll have another stream, have another guest, and we'll do this all over. So we hope to see you back next week.
Yep.
Any closing words, anything you want to say, or
God
go
is good.
Chiefs?
God is good.
God is good.
I can't say go Chiefs, man. I'm sorry.
You a Brady fan?
No,
let's not even-
I'm a Peyton fan, so I cannot be
Yeah.
a Brady fan.
Gotcha. All right.
All right, guys.
All right, that's it.
See ya.
Thanks,
y'all later.
guys.